Hello, everybody, and welcome to Four Wheel Tech for November 10th, 2024. It's Season 1, Episode 26. Although our numbering might be off, we'll fix it in post. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we're going to talk about the Kia Adventure van, Bronco returns, I will not pay over MSRP, but they'll just raise MSRP, off-road Hellcat, and square cup holders in a Lexus. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. So go over there and become a citizen, and you can just subscribe to the Four Wheel Tech, and you'll get some of the news because we actually grab a little bit of news that's automotive and technology related from all across ohmTown.com. It just, a lot of it happens to be focused in the Four Wheel Tech group. That's how our aggregator works. Anyway, see you on the other side. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt. Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something before I even introduced you.
Nope, I was just getting ready.
Yeah, all right. Well, hey, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
And if you're watching this, the visualizer is a representation of how much computational power is necessary for the sentient AI from the future to voice their opinion about whatever it is we're talking about.
Quite a bit.
Sometimes it seems. I mean, I think that it's this old tech that you have to deal with because you're from the future and you hear that weird USB that you were actually housed in must have fallen out of the Terminator body when you transported back in time. Hey, if you want all of today's show notes, you can hit !FWT in the chat, and that'll spit out all of today's show notes. They're already over on YouTube. They'll be in the podcast when it gets published. So follow us here on Twitch and over on YouTube, and download the podcast and like and subscribe, ring the bell, send a carrier pigeon, send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com if there's any articles that you're interested in us highlighting in the show. Once you become a citizen, though, you can actually submit it. There's a little option right here where you can submit news, but I'm not logged in. Anyway, you want to get into the show? Let's get into the show. First article is over.
Let's do it.
There's that vocal computational lag. Again, I blame the fact that maybe I'll move you over to the new Apple Mini M4 because the Raspberry Pi just isn't moving fast enough. You can recompile.
Yeah, but then I'll have to keep up with the M4.
No, you won't have a problem with that. You know, I mean, you're from the future, so. According to this article, all of our articles are from Jalopnik today. That's pretty wild. Wow. That normally never happens, but anyway, so Kia better make this badass electric adventure van concept that it debuted at SEMA. The SEMA show always includes a slew of questionably customized cars, but sometimes manufacturers release tricked out versions of everyday models and eventually, well, actually get people excited. But I'm pretty excited about this one. There's a couple of Kias that I actually like, but this year Kia returned to the SEMA show with an all-terrain Vengeance, showcasing
Not what I think of for all-terrain.
Yeah, Kia. Two badass electrified and off-roadified vehicles. So let's take a look. Boom. I dig this.
Oh, that's cool. That looks like something out of a sci-fi or dystopian movie.
Oh yeah, something on Mars, you know. Yeah, John Carter driving this around. If anybody knows what John Carter is, I'm amazed. But anyway, the biggest flop in like movie history. I think it made like $20.
But then it might be known because of that.
Yeah, true. I keep attempting to watch it again, but I think I've watched like 5 minutes of it over the course of 2 weeks. So based off the Kia PBV electric modular van concept, it looks seriously cool and capable. Logan Carter over at jalopnik.com put the article together. I dig this. EV9 Adventure or Adventure, it's ADVENTR because they can't just say adventure, damn it. Anyway, it's based on the currently available EV9 three-row electric SUV, but includes a 3-inch lift, off-road wheels and tires. Saw a truck today where the tires alone were taller than my car. I had left ohmTown.
Yeah, this reminds me of like a Unimog or something. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
I
that's
know
actually
it's not the
interesting.
right scale, but
Yeah. But, you just put a big-ass tires and raise the cab up above the tires, and you're basically Unimog. It's an awesome vehicle, by the way, Unimog, particularly in the snow. I want one so bad, but anyway. The Kia PV5 Weekender is a lifted and specialized electric van intended to act as an escape pod for extended weekends in nature, with features like Gearhead feature that provides an off-board storage space for gear when the vehicle is parked to maximize interior usability. So the little thing rises up. You have this little door that opens up. I like this thing. Stick stuff
yeah, it
up in the
looks very
ceiling.
cool.
It looks like it has French cleat rails on the sides that you can put proprietary shelves. Yeah, this is pretty cool. This looks like a render though, but it says
Yeah,
photo.
it doesn't really look real. Like it looks,
Yeah,
I don't
kind of
know, it
fakey.
like has a lot of customizable aspects, but it doesn't look very luxurious, I guess is the way to put it.
Oh no, this is just for like hauling ass and taking names. This looks pretty cool though. I like that you can open this big old door and it's wide open, and you have these jump chairs where they're facing each other, or this is like a lounger where you can just put your feet up on an ottoman on the passenger side facing the driver, and the driver actually looks like they're more centrally located. It's kind of weird, this perspective. It looks like they're closer to the center than... Yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, I like it. So I want this. This should be in Wanted, but that was yesterday's show.
That's right. It might make its way into Wanted for next week.
Too bad. Yeah. Anyway, I agree. I agree with Logan here. This better be made. But I'm looking for a vehicle like this. We'll see. But here's another contender for maybe my MSRP dollars, which is leading me into the article after this article. Not this article, but this article. After this one, we're going to be talking about that MSRP issue. Base Ford Bronco returns with a starting price under $40,000, pissing off everybody who bought a Bronco Original.
Yeah, that's true. But keeping a lot of people happy that have been waiting to get a Bronco.
Yeah, Ford updated the Bronco a little bit for 2025, but the really big news is the return of the base trim, which Ford dropped for the 2024 model. This drops the entry price for the Bronco over $1,635 versus the outgoing model. But it was the supply and demand issue. See, now this is the Bronco, not the Bronco Sport. I do not want a Bronco Sport. I want the Bronco.
Right, but remember the base trim might mean like no steering wheel or something.
Yeah, really. You have to, it's a lease, and you have to pay a monthly fee for the tires. So Lawrence Hodge over at jalopnik.com put the article together. And the deck statement is what I said earlier. And so it says for 2025, the cheapest way to get into a Bronco is the steel-wheeled base trim for a predestination charge of $37,995. That price stays the same whether you choose the 2 or 4-door model, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's really shocking.
You get the standard 30-inch all-season tires, Ford's terrain management system with 5 GOAT off-road modes. And also new for 2025, a standard 12-inch touchscreen running Sync 4. The base Bronco also comes standard with a 7-speed manual transmission paired with a 2.3-liter EcoBoost i4, which is anemic, regardless of innovation. So Ford made additional comfort changes to the Bronco for 2025. 4-door models get standard rear air vents, so you're still allowed to breathe in the back.
This is good.
You can upgrade to the 10-speed automatic transmission, putting it over $42,000. Ford will also give buyers the option to add the Sasquatch package to the base Bronco, which it gives you hair implants, but not on the top of your head, all over your body.
Well, I'm not sure people want to pay extra for that.
So the package now comes with a standard 35-inch Goodyear Territory RT tires, which Ford says has less road noise. You get a 12-speaker B&O system. Buyers wanting to get paint protection can now choose a factory matte clear film. And there you go. Yeah, the thing that I don't like these little things, these little rails up on top of the...
I'm not sure really why they're there.
There's little lights, but I think it's kind of goofy. Okay, so let's just kick this up a notch. Ford made other changes to the Bronco trim lineup. Aside from the return of the base trim, the Bronco Wild Track trim is gone, replaced with the Heritage-inspired Bronco Strope Edition. Only available as a two-door. It starts at $75,635, and there's the availability of the Black Diamond and freewheeling packages on the Big Bend trim and 3 new color choices. And if you're interested in the Bronco 25, Ford says order banks are now open with delivery set to begin this winter. I think the Black Diamond is something like $90,000, I think it was.
Wow. I mean, maybe that's what Bronco is doing, is trying to lower the baseline one and then hopefully get sales of these higher end editions.
Hold on a second. Let me see. Like the entry level, I thought was... Hold on. I need to look up the 2025 because the 2024 was like $50,000 for the Black Diamond. But I thought I read that it was going to be... Oh, maybe it's not the Black Diamond that's that crazy cost. There was one that was really wild, limited edition. Maybe it wasn't Black Diamond. I'll have to look. Yeah, it starts at like $50,000 for the Black Diamond. So maybe this is the
I mean,
one
you have
now.
to look at your model carefully.
Yep. Okay, let's see here. Hold on. I'm looking for which one it is. Wild Track is priced at $135,000. The most expensive Bronco straight out of the gate is $90,000 Raptor. There you go. All right. Well, I'm going to keep on going. The next article is over in the Four Wheel Tech channel. Yep.
I mean, this is a good sign, but it'll be interesting to see what the manufacturers do with the pricing.
Yep. So it seems like people are done paying over MSRP for new cars. I know from driving around and looking at cars that some dealerships have taken to the marketing method of pissing off customers as they drive by, like saying in really bright print, $16,000. But then when you walk onto the lot, they have in different writing, not as vibrant, off. So the vehicle that you actually pulled over to go and take a look at says $16,000 off. With the $16,000 in neon yellow and off in a dull matte brown, written on some shady cardboard inside the car. Anyway, but people are tired of paying over MSRP. It's rather exploitive in a time of whatever, but supply and demand, I understand the mechanics of supply and demand in business in general. I mean, I went to business school, for crying out loud. I do strategic management consulting. I understand.
You don't know anything about this.
I know nothing. But I also have a soul, and
well, that's not very good for business.
Yeah, that's true. So it seems that the era of people willingly paying over MSRP for new cars is at an end, as data shows that the number of people willingly letting dealers overcharge them is declining. And Stellantis, for instance, is really feeling this pinch. So Lawrence Hodge over at jalopnik.com put the article together. The number of buyers willing to overpay for a new car saw a pretty steep drop in the last year. Yeah, kiss my shiny metal ass is pretty much the response nowadays from people. Data from JD Power's 2024 U.S. Sales Satisfaction Index shows that the number of car buyers willing to pay markup for a new car dropped 7% in the last year for mass market brands like Hyundai and Ford. In 2023, 15% of buyers were willing to overpay. Just 8% of buyers were willing to pay in 2024. Those numbers.
I was going to say, I think this has to do with the amount of supply, though, because there were periods where you could go into a dealership, there were 0 cars in inventory, and the dealers held all the cards.
Cards. Car apostrophe DS. Cards.
Yes.
So according to JD Power, the reason that the drop is higher, dealer inventories. So yeah, the struggles during and immediately after the pandemic saw buyers clamoring for any inventory that they could find. Dealers capitalized on this by being greedy bastards, especially hot models that debuted at the time, like the Ford Bronco and F-150 Lightning. Not Lighting, Lightning. F-150 Lighting is basically taking a LED bulb and screwing it to an outlet underneath it. Anyway, there were financial repercussions to this, of course. Many found themselves underwater on the car loans as resale values on certain segments tanked. If you paid $70,000 for a $40,000 Kia EV6 in 2022, you're probably in some real deep doo-doo right now.
Right, because who wants to buy it and who wants to buy a used EV?
Yeah. There's a thing. Hold on. Let me see. I don't know if this ever happens. Do loan companies actually call the gap when you have a hold on.
I don't know why they would approve a loan.
That much over, right?
Right. I mean, if it's a couple thousand over, maybe, but if you're putting a down payment or something, that's going to account for that. I don't think they would approve this.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Well, at any rate. So there were other surprising findings in the study. EV buyers are less satisfied with their vehicles than gas vehicle buyers. Yeah, that's no shit news. Because they were lied to. They were absolutely lied to. It's all marketing bullshit, right? EVs don't get their range. They don't have their lifespan. They're a pain in the ass when they break down in any way, shape, or form.
Or if there's any weather of any kind.
I mean, hell,
traffic of any kind.
Depending on the Tesla, you're parking on the side of the road. I know I take a lot of pot shots at Tesla's Cybertruck, but give me a break. Plus, we've been doing it wrong. That the whole build out and all of that kind of stuff, people are tired of it. So sales satisfaction for premium brands saw Porsche take first, with Infiniti and Jaguar coming in second and third. So, I mean, it's hard to dislike a Porsche until insurance or maintenance or changing the damn oil.
Yeah, it's not operating correctly.
Yeah, but if you can swing the bat for a Porsche or an Infiniti or Jaguar, then you're cool with the $150 it takes to do an oil change. So they also took the top 2 spots for highest rated premium car and premium SUV in JD Power Segment Awards, which ranks the highest ranked brands in a particular segment. That sounds so much like what's his name? Where he does $50 items from Amazon.
It's tech stuff.
Yeah.
Random Frank P.
Oh yeah, Random Frank P. He always does this thing like JD Power Segment Awards where he ranks the highest ranked brands in a particular segment. So he does like $50, $100. It's a fun show to watch, but anyway. He was going to change his name. And then his community said, hell no. And he's
well,
like, okay,
I mean, I guess that's a good thing. They're invested.
Yep. Anyway, let's move on. This is not non sequitur news. This is 4-wheel tech. Anyway, the next article is over in 4-wheel tech. Off-road Hellcat 4x4 fixes every problem you had with the Dodge Challenger. I had to choose this because I really like Dodge for whatever reason. Dodge is kind of like this chonky beast of a vehicle. And I've had a couple of them over the years, not the Dodge Challenger, but I really dig them because of that kind of beefiness of them without being too over the top. I still wanted a vehicle that you could park in a garage. So Dodge sold the Challenger for 15 years, never gave it a full redesign. What is that? Depsite? That is? What? I think it's despite
Oh,
that.
despite.
But Depsite, that's their typo. I just read it. I just read the teleprompter. Screw you, San Diego. Just kidding. I love San Diego.
Stay classy, San Diego.
Stay classy, San Diego. It sold well for a coupe and eventually proved even more popular than the Ford Mustang and Chevy Camaro. Bitchin' Camaro, bitchin' Camaro. Over the years, Dodge made a long series of improvements and offered the Challenger and other special editions. So, boom. Colin Woodard over at Jalopnik.
Now I see why it fixes the problems.
It's no longer a Dodge Challenger.
Well, because it can go above everything it's going to encounter.
Good God, look at that thing. But that's kind of like the vehicle that was seen outside of ohmTown today. The tires were as big as the fender well. So if it was actually set down on the tires would just destroy the fender well. So it was sat up above, kind of how this is. So, and those tires had to have been, I don't know how big, like 36-inch tires or something like that. They were beefy. Anyway, someone has finally done what Dodge was too cowardly to do itself. They raised it up. Still, though, I mean,
right, you still have the low frame.
The drivetrain is still down at the vehicle's center line of the tires. So no matter what you do, this bar right here is basically the lowest point that you can go.
Right, it's going to run into every obstacle if you're going off-roading.
Yeah, if you had independent suspension, then this bar would be gone and you'd be able to have much greater travel and all that kind of stuff. But in the back, you have the same thing with the differential. It doesn't look like it's independent suspension anywhere. So as everyone knows, Dodge eventually added all-wheel drive as an option, but you couldn't get it in all-wheel drive Hellcat. In fact, unless they missed one, Dodge never offered all-wheel drive on any Challenger with a V8. It was one of the reasons why I never got anything outside of an SUV from Dodge, because I wanted all-wheel drive. Plus, it says the lack of ground clearance and a true four-wheel drive system meant you couldn't get very far anytime you tried to take it off-road. Now, the Stellantis explainers will tell you that that's because you could always buy the Ram 1500 TRX if you want an off-road Hellcat, but that's Ram, which is a completely separate company, and the 1500 is a truck, not a Dodge Challenger.
Right. I mean, if you're trying to get the Challenger.
So it's a first drive in a 4x4 off-road Hellcat. I'm not going to play the audio on this, but oh my God, I want this.
I guess we should have put it in wanted too.
Okay. Oh, this guy's burning the stickers off the tires by lighting them up in the parking lot. That's how new this vehicle's tires are. He's driving it down the road with the stickers on the tires.
Oh, wow.
I love this. I love this. So they talk about building it. There's a whole first drive in 4x4 off-road Hellcat. It's a YouTube video. They talk about the springs that are in it and the suspension that's on it. It does not have any travel. This thing is just going to be locked in. If there is any travel. It has springs, but the whole thing is going to be bouncing up and down, not independent suspension. But and then they just, oh my gosh. Yeah. So you're going to need a ladder to get to your ladder to get into your car.
Right. How do you get into this car?
Yeah. You're going to need one of those little roll out ladders. Like you're trying to get like emergency ladders. You're going to have to do that.
Oh, right. Those ones that roll down or roll up.
Yeah. Escape ladders from your third story window. So I want this. But obviously I'll never get it because what am I going to do? I'm going to drive this to the grocery store, for crying out loud.
I
Dig
mean,
the
it would get
color.
some looks.
Yeah. So follow the link through ohmTown. It's in the show notes. It's over in the VOD. Definitely check this thing out. You'll be able to hear it, but we're not playing the video simply because we want to drive traffic to all of the people that provide sources to ohmTown and to the Four Wheel Tech show. So let's move on. The next and our last article for Four Wheel Tech tonight is Lexus designed the TX's weird square cup holders so that it would fit Stanley cups. Do you really think that they catered to the
Well, it's
Lexus?
interesting because I don't think of the Stanley Cup and the Lexus market overlapping.
I don't know, man. I mean, people really dig those Stanley cups. It's always bragging rights. I'm actually surprised that my friend in California didn't send me a picture of their Lexus with a Stanley cup in the holder.
Okay, that would have been funny.
So cup holders, no matter what the vehicle they're in, are usually round. Bucking that established trend is the Lexus's 3-roll TX family hauler. Oh, that's why. He would never send me a family hauler, which went with a strange-looking square cup holder that's removable from the center console. So why would Lexus go and willingly create chaos in what is supposedly a family vehicle? Apparently, it's for Stanley cups.
That's interesting.
So Lawrence Hodge,
Because any other cup is probably going to be rolling around in there.
fit to be square. Yeah, they're both square. I guess it's so that the handle can sit thunk, but why not just make a big round with these little derpy? Interesting, right? So Lawrence Hodge over at Jalopnik.com put the article together. Yeah, in the three-row Texas or TX. I think that's intentional. TX Texas. Everything is bigger. The TX family hauler, which went the strange-looking square cup holders. Turns out the reason is so that it could fit Stanley cups. So they asked why square. Lexus rep explained that designers went with a square cup due to Stanley cups. Those hugely popular tumblers, specifically the big ones with the handle, are easier to place in the square cup holders. You know, if I had the Lexus TX, those 40-ounce hydro mugs would fit.
I was going to say this is a problem beyond Stanley Cups.
Yeah, it's just big ass mugs. Sometimes, though, you really want, to just nurse that 40-ounce mug of a cup of Joe over the long haul. It's not really irrational. I mean, what's irrational about is chugging the 40 ounces of Pepsi or whatever and then going and getting a refill at the nearest gas station. That's irrational and horrible for you. So the Lexus rep explained that the designers went with the square cup because of the Stanley cups. There's more in this article, but guess what? Really don't need it. So they say that there's some clarification at the very end of this article regarding the design of the TX's cup holders. While Stanley cups were a factor in the design, they weren't the main factor. They were told Lexus designers went for what they're calling practical elegance in the interior design process of the TX, and this meant that having features that are usable, practical, and easily accessible by passengers, and the removable cup holders were one of the features designed to do just that.
That's interesting. Like they backpedaled away from the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you put a round cup holder in it to minimize
There was something in the article. Oh, maybe because it said that some of them moved around. So yeah, maybe you could 3D print something to put in there. I don't know.
Why does it say unlock? Because you can pull this whole thing out.
You can take the cup holder out.
Yeah. So do they have a round one? It didn't say it, right?
I don't think they do.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, how to say that I've never owned a Lexus without saying I've never owned a Lexus? That right there. Not that I really find Lexus any more appealing than any other car. I'm very utilitarian, if no one's guessed that, or if anyone cares to hear me say that. Anyway, so we're going to unlock our cup, and that's going to land us back at the front page of Four Wheel Tech, which is where all of the news for Four Wheel Tech usually gets aggregated, but we grab stuff from other areas where relevant. So you can go over there, become a citizen, and you can subscribe to all of the channels. We got 50 channels. Go check it out. Anyway, I am Mayor Watt, and the sentient AI is going to... there was a 10-gear transmission in that one vehicle, the Ford Bronco. So put it in 10th and granny gear your way down Main Street. Yeah, that's my way of saying say bye.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Four Wheel Tech. We'll have another episode of that next week. But come back tomorrow for ohmTown Non Sequitur news and some other weekly shows.
Yeah, so ohmTown is the network of shows, and Non Sequitur News is our daily show. And then we have 6 weekend shows that are 30 minutes long. But the Non Sequitur News show is an hour. Sometimes we run long, kind of like what I'm doing with this. So see you in a little bit, which means tomorrow. And I'm going to probably get the replay going for the daily, weekly replay. It may or may not include yesterday's shows. We'll see. Okay. Anyway, we're out of here. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye. Lexus. Welcome to the jungle. Hello, everybody. I am Mayor Watt, and you are watching Non Sequitur News for November 10th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 315, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we are going to talk about a 4-year world cruise ship voyage. The eastern U.S. is sinking, microplastics impacting weather. These bills are odd. Netflix and no chill, super strain of bacteria. I've no idea what happened to our audio. NFL ref calls penalty, the RP Gamer Roundup, Encore, the AI search engine, and hackers stealing Ticketmaster tickets. Everything is powered by ohmTown.com, so go over there and become a citizen where you can get all of the news, none of the noise, and definitely respite from the last several, year. See you on the other side of our intro. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, ohmTown citizens.
Oh, you're doing that ducking again. Oh, it's okay. No. Don't worry about it. We are not going to mess with it today. We're just going to deal with it. We are going to do it live, as it were. Doing all right?
I am doing fine, and that should have fixed it at least temporarily.
That did fix it. Wow. It's almost like you're a sentient AI from the future. You knew what was wrong. Okay, let's just go. So this first article that we're going to talk about is for whatever reason, we have this strange fascination with all things lifelong cruise affiliated kind of stuff. I'm really not sure why. I've never been on a cruise, and I don't necessarily want to get on a cruise because I think that they're the petri dishes of the sea. But a residential cruise ship has a 4-year around-the-world voyage to quote-unquote escape politics, but 4 years is the cycle for politics, so you're literally going to be enveloped in politics.
I mean, the idea is funny. It seems like it's just a shtick.
Oh, it's definitely. Yeah. The residential cruise line offers a 4-year voyage for passengers seeking an extra long vacation. A single-person room on the cruise ship for 4 years costs $256,000,
Is that all? I mean, I
promising.
guess that's probably cheaper than buying a house, but at the end of it, you're not going to have a cruise ship or a house.
Yeah, you've got jack shit to show for it. Oh, that's really early in the stream. I'm probably going to get in trouble. In troubled? In troubled. The name of the new show that we are kicking off. We're changing the name yet again. Just kidding. They're going to go to 140 countries. The Odyssey. Wait, is that the same one? Yeah. The Via
Oh, it is.
Odyssey.
I didn't realize it was.
Yeah, entered the second month of its 15-year tour around the world. The Odyssey set sail in September after delays left it docked in Belfast for months. We didn't even get the news that it actually left,
We got the news that it started to leave and then it got stopped again, but I don't think we ever saw that it set sail again.
yeah, that damn Windows 11 patch.
And that's a 15-month journey, right? Not 15-year.
It says 15-year tour around the world.
Oh, okay. It must have several legs inside that.
So the Odyssey started with its own kind of micro Odyssey, I suppose. Let's see here. If the state of the world, or at least election results, have got you considering whether you want to leave the United States, Villa Vi Residences wants to throw it in its hat in the ring for an option for temporary relocation. A double occupancy room starts at $319,998 for the 4-year trip, promising visits to 140 countries across all 7. So you can book a 2-year midterm selection. This is pure marketing tripe.
It is, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah. So you know what's going to be interesting about this? I am going to promote this episode. And because I'm simply mentioning
exactly, even though we're not talking about anything political,
I don't even care about the election in terms of the show. I'm not even talking about it. They're gonna ding me. I have been getting notices from previous promotion attempts where they've straight up said that I have to file a document for electioneering, even though I did not say anything about it. I never talk about politics. So anyway, I found it really interesting that I'm still getting them a year after the last promotion. So anyway, while a trip on the Odyssey doesn't offer citizenship anywhere else in the world, it gives passengers flexibility to escape traffic jams, politics, and the monotony of city life, except that you're going to have the monotony of being stuck on a ship until you get to another dock. And even then...
Yeah, but with that many country stops, you're probably not going too long in between docking.
Well, except for the people who had to pay for their own apartment in Italy.
That's a different issue. Assuming it stays on schedule.
It was Ireland, not Italy. Yeah. So they said that they were going to actually... So it's really funny. 2 passengers who repeatedly complained about the delays were kicked off the ship and had their contracts canceled. You bitch too much.
Never mind that you sold your house or gave away your pets or whatever you did in preparation for this.
Yeah. And if you put all of your eggs in one basket, guess what? Somebody else is going to take your eggs, make an omelet out of you. All right. Well, anyway, Catherine Tangalakis-Lippert over at BusinessInsider.com put the article together. Pretty fascinating. 15-year tour around the world is what it says, but you have to pay $256,000 for a 4-year tour. So just over $65,000.
I mean, think what the cost would be for 15 years of this.
Yeah. Well, $1 million. Well, roughly.
Roughly, yeah.
All right, let's keep on going though. This is kind of interesting, but I'm just waiting for the software to go, sorry, we need a patch, and you're stuck out there somewhere.
Yeah, that would not be good. I forgot why they were stuck in Belfast. They didn't have a permit or something.
Well, one was a permit and one was software that locked the engine controls so that they couldn't actually leave. Yeah. At least it's not the other one where they haven't even purchased the ship, right? There's another one where they didn't even
Right.
purchase.
Yeah, that's a bigger problem.
People sold their everything and they hadn't even sold the ship or purchased the ship yet. Okay, let's keep on going. Oh, and if you're in the chat and you're interested in this kind of stuff, if you hit !NSN, that'll pull up the show notes for today's episode. Past episodes are over on YouTube because Twitch deletes everything after 60 days. And we have 1,500 episodes worth of shows across the ohmTown network of shows. And they're all podcasts as well. So do a search for wherever you catch pod and ohmTown will be there. So I've always wondered, why is the Eastern U.S. sinking? I didn't actually know that it was, by the way. But
I didn't either until I saw this headline.
Yeah, this one, if you want to be scared out of your mind, I suppose, the answer lies in an ice sheet from 19,000 years ago. I find this one really interesting because they found in, what country was it? Carved wood that was designed to be stacked together like Lincoln logs underneath a waterfall somewhere. I think it was in South America. Underneath a waterfall that shows signs of
Wasn't
human...
it in Zambia in Africa?
Oh, was it? I thought it was South America. Maybe it was Africa. It must have been.
I think it was Zambia.
Yeah, so it shows that somebody used stone tools to carve wood and stack them together for some purpose. They don't know what the purpose was, but they carbon dated the wood. Oh, it is? Where is it?
It's Zambia.
Zambia. Okay. So they found this wood preserved, but it looked like it had been set on fire. But at any rate,
right, but they couldn't find any real evidence of fire.
Right, which is interesting.
Or not significant enough to think that it was intentionally
like burned.
Like
this is like a post
for shaping or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it shows carve marks and manipulation by something human, or at least tool wielding. I mean, either these were brilliant monkeys, or it was humans, or my favorite, because it's NaNoWriMo month, aliens. Anyway.
Oh, I thought you were going to reference the escaped monkeys.
Oh, the macaques. They're macaques, right? Aren't they macaques? I think they're macaques.
I think so.
Yeah. But I'm like all over the park today. I am drinking yerba mate, and boy, are my caffeine levels at their yerba maximum.
Oh boy.
Anywho, yeah, so there are in it's South Carolina, right?
It is.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but Yamasee is
Yeah.
the town.
They're running all over, and they've only caught one, and I don't know what that one was up to. They're like, hey, I'm going to go and get that banana over there, and they got scooped up. But there's 42 of them running around going
and
bananas.
Now they're warning people not to fly drones in the area, which I'm sure tons of people are doing.
What the heck? They should be flying drones with thermal cameras so that you can see where these little monkeys are.
Exactly. I mean, people might be doing that for their own. And you're right, there are macaques. It took me about 3 or 4 articles to find the species, but
it should be easy to spot. They're wearing little white lab jackets, right? Because they were lab macaques.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, really?
But that would be
cute. They're the research subjects. Oh, snap. I had that read completely wrong. I'm sorry, folks. Stay inside. You never know. Gain of function. Anyway.
This is definitely non sequitur news since we're supposed to be talking about the U.S. sinking.
The reason why I brought it all up is because this carved wood is 460,000 years old.
Right, but that isn't even the story, and nor are the macaques. We went layers and layers.
But it's because they're going to live while humanity gets taken over by monkeys, because apes, right? They're going to take over. Macaques are just going to be the intermediate step. They're off learning English and engineering and fission. And
Maybe they're piloting the drones. People think it's the humans, but maybe the macaques have found the controller for one.
yeah, it's false intel, right? It's the macaques that are sending out a text to everybody, don't fly drones, because they're out there flying the drones around. All right. Well, anyway, this article is over at scitechdaily.com. It was written by Virginia Tech. Imagine that a massive ice sheet, you're a massive ice sheet, covered Canada and oozed down over a large part of the northern United States like ice spilling down the side of a cake. That was the situation somewhere between 19,000 and 26,000 years ago. The ice sheet covered land all the way down to south of modern day Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin. But then the cheese in Wisconsin stopped it. That's what happens. Cheese is an insulator.
Cheese likes to do that.
It made the moon. So it's fascinating to picture, but the critical aspect to us today is what happened to the land when the ice sheet melted. And holy ice sheet, how does that affect modern day sea level rise and sinking land? PhD candidate Karen Williams embarked on a computer modeling research effort to find out just what happened. Apparently, Williams used computational modeling to assess the impact of the melting of the Laurentide ice sheet on present-day vertical land motions. I guess it's pushing us down. The scientific term for how solid Earth responds to this melting is glacial isostatic adjustment. I go through the same thing.
I'm not sure what to make of that.
I am glacial isostatic. I stay in one place, and it's sincerely an adjustment when I have to get up. And by various assumptions, they simulated how the results depend upon the internal structure of the Earth through nearly 130,000 computational simulations. So it's basically a educated guess, but we really don't know what the hell happened. So the results of the study will help generate maps for researchers who guide decisions on aquifer management, Williams said. In the end, the research will be incorporated into a comprehensive report for the U.S. Geological Survey that will help Chesapeake Bay area stakeholders better understand the financial, ecological, and social effects of sea level rise. I wonder who's going to be the real benefactors of these. Anyway, Williams explained, by getting more accurate model estimates of what is contributing to the land either rising or sinking, we can identify areas undergoing localized vertical displacements driven by natural and or anthropogenic human sources such as excessive groundwater withdrawal in the Gulf of Mexico or the Chesapeake Bay. For example, Stamp said, some of the greatest differences between modeled influence of glacial isostatic adjustment and observations occur where there is known groundwater extraction, like Houston, Texas, and probably all of California. But they don't say that last part.
Yeah, I mean, I think anywhere that's near water, right?
Oh, but there are people that are going to say, oh, that's bullshit. You know, we can suck all of the water out of the sponge and it'll stay just fine, you know, and we can punch holes all over the ground. It's fine. They don't ever collapse. All right, let's keep moving though. We are on a timeline, right? Not really.
I mean, I don't think that has been in play since the show started.
Yeah, 3 years ago. So this next article is over on Reality Hacker. Microplastics could be making the weather worse. It's definitely not making it better. Microplastics cause clouds to form in places where they otherwise wouldn't, which is likely to have knock-on effects on the weather and climate. This is a new one to me, although we have read reports and seen the news about how microplastics are being found in raindrops.
That's true, but we haven't seen this connection yet.
Miriam Friedman and Heidi, maybe Bussy or Bus, over at wired.com put the article together. The deck statement is what I said. let's see. So in a newly published study, this is actually from The Conversation under a Creative Commons license, which is really interesting. That's the first time that I've ever seen that attribution, but
Right, same here.
pretty cool of them. So at any rate, clouds form when water vapor and invisible gas in the atmosphere sticks to tiny floating particles such as dust and turn into liquid water droplets or ice crystals, and then they get heavier and heavier and heavier, and they drop out of that solution, which is wind. Atmosphere is it's a not very viscous fluid, and so if the mass builds up enough, it'll drop out of that solution and form rain. So it produces ice crystals at temperatures 5 to 10 degrees Celsius or 9 to 18 degrees Fahrenheit, warmer than droplets without microplastics. So ice actually forms around microplastics faster than just dust alone.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that could start having a significant impact on the overall weather patterns.
Interesting. This suggests that microplastics in the air may affect weather and climate by producing clouds in conditions where they would not normally form. Ew. Look at that. Plankton mucus houses could pull microplastics from the sea.
Okay, that's good, but they need to work on their marketing.
But it's not really good because other life eats eats the plankton, and then it ends up in the...
True. It would only be good if the plankton collected it and then people collected the plankton somehow.
Yeah, stored it somewhere and said, y'all don't want this. Yeah, don't eat me. So we are atmospheric chemists who study, and that's the authors of this article, who study how different types of particles form ice when they come into contact with liquid water. This process occurs constantly in the atmosphere and is called nucleation. Nucleation is also if you have something like ice in a liquid that has carbonation, or the nanostructures on the surface of glass in a glass. Nucleation is where the carbonation forms and then bubbles out. It's called nucleation zones or areas or spots or whatever you want to call it, but it's called nucleation. In this case, nucleation is creating the nucleus of the water drop, forming around it and then pulling it out of the atmosphere. So clouds in the atmosphere can be made up of liquid water droplets, ice particles, or a mixture of the two. In clouds in the mid to upper atmosphere, where temperatures are between 32 and 36 degrees Fahrenheit, or 0 to negative 38, I think it says here. So between 32 and negative 36 degrees Fahrenheit. 0 to negative 38 degrees Celsius. Ice crystals normally form around mineral dust particles from dry soils or biological particles such as pollen or bacteria that's been pulled up into the atmosphere. Microplastics are less than 5 millimeters wide, about the size of a pencil eraser, which that is huge.
Yeah, I would have thought they were a lot smaller, but maybe I'm thinking of nanoplastics.
Yeah. And that's what I think of when I hear about microplastics. Nanoplastics are even smaller, and that's the stuff that they're finding inside humans, because you're not going to find an eraser-sized lump of plastic in a human.
No, and I wonder if that's just the upper limit of it.
It has to be.
Because they probably have to classify them, and maybe a lot of the ones out there, because if they were that, I think people could actually spot them.
Easily, yeah. So why it matters? Well, for freezing to occur at warmer temperatures, some kind of material that won't dissolve in water needs to be present in the droplet. This particle provides a surface where the first ice crystal can form. If microplastics are present, they could cause the ice crystal to form, potentially increasing rain or snowfall. So clouds also affect weather and climate in several ways. They reflect incoming sunlight away from Earth before it hits the surface, which is a cooling effect, and absorb some of the radiation that's emitted from Earth's surface, which has a warming effect because it doesn't radiate away into space. It does eventually, but it holds on clouds. Water in general is a heat sink. So the amount of sunlight reflected depends on how much water versus ice. a cloud contains. So if microplastics increase the presence of ice particles in clouds compared with liquid water droplets, this shifting ratio could change clouds' effects on Earth's energy balance. And now there are knuckleheads out there that are trying to, let's throw not metal, let's throw diamonds into our atmosphere.
Exactly. What could go wrong?
The problem isn't, oh, we're getting too much heat from the sun. It's we are storing too much carbon in our atmosphere that's
And we
anthropogenic.
poked holes in the ozone layer because of all of this.
Yep. And so we are disrupting the natural order of things. We are disrupting climate. But let's do it a mechanical way instead of figuring out how we don't throw more carbon into the freaking air. So they describe how they did their work, and they still don't know some things. So they say to understand how microplastics affect weather and climate, we need to know their concentrations at the altitudes where clouds form. We also need to understand the concentration of microplastics compared to other particles that could nucleate ice, such as mineral dust, biological particles, etc. So they're going to have to take some guesses, and educated guesses are better than just throwing a dart against the wall and picking a number. I suspect that that's what they do anyway.
I don't think that's how they do it, but they barely started studying microplastics. The fact that they've even got this figured out is kind of surprising to me.
Yeah. But we've been calling it publicly on the show since, 3 years ago. And Mayor Watt's been talking about it for the last 12 years, longer than that, probably. I can't remember how far back I've been talking about it. I had a friend when I was much younger that really leaned into peak oil and went into basically like lead energy surveys and stuff like that, and trying to make everybody eco-friendly. And I don't have that kind of passion about any one particular topic, but microplastics are this thing where there's no other solution than to stop, right? Like with oil, we can find some other solution. We've got solar, et cetera, but microplastics, it's pervasive. It's impacting every aspect of life now. And
Right, we just have to stop plastic usage to begin with and then figure out how to break down existing plastic.
yeah. Meanwhile, we're watching another show earlier today, and they're talking about it's a wine bottle that's made out of paper, and it's bragging about how it has less this, less that, except that it has an entire plastic bag inside it, which is going to off gas, and it's going to impart nano and microplastics, because flexible plastics do this all the time. Now you have to sit there and go, oh, okay. Well, you have to prove it, right? So hunting for microplastics, nanoplastics in 750 mil of a liquid is like trying to hunt down a needle in a haystack. But the needle is a 1 micron piece of plastic that could be the cause of health issues. This is going to be wild. So in future research, we plan to work with plastics that contain additives such as plasticizers and colorants, as well as with smaller plastic particles. There is dark field microscopy that could facilitate finding these needles in haystacks, except that the haystack now is the size of the planet. So good luck, everybody. Do you want to go on to the next article?
I think we need to.
This next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Man discovers something very unusual about $20 bills withdrawn from an ATM. Jay Heron went to an ATM for $60, but thanks to his eye for detail, he realized the notes that he retrieved could be worth far more.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the wrong denomination or something.
So Alice Collins, man spots something very unusual about the $20 bill he withdraws from an ATM. I'm trying to see.
I don't see anything obvious, but
shows us what we know about $20 bills, right? So, oh, it's the eights. That's all it is. One of the notes had a serial number of PL588888H, while another had PL588888H. 5. So, some people count the eights as being extremely lucky. And it says, indeed, the latter serial number is known as a super radar note, meaning the serial number is exactly the same forward and backward, but it's a palindromic serial number, are highly sought after by collectors. Aaron said, I only need $60, but when they noticed the serials were consecutive, I knew the next withdrawal would be the 7 in a row and the super radar. I don't know if they would have used that term until somebody told them, oh, it's a super radar, unless you're already in the know about money.
Right, maybe they were.
But they are, apparently. They say, I always pay attention to what serial numbers are on the banknotes I receive. It's a habit they picked up after seeing a fancy serial that a friend of theirs found in the past. So they were really happy about this. They posted a picture on Reddit. And of course, a lot of stuff from Newsweek comes out of Reddit. After seeing his discovery generate so much attention online, Heron hopes to be able to encourage others to double check the serial numbers. One comment said that 58885 is probably worth a few to a collector. To the right buyer, they're worth somewhere between $150 to $500, depending on the quality of the note.
Interesting.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I would have kept on pulling 20s out just to see if I kept on getting stuff that
right.
was...
Did I get the same general series?
Yeah. Kind of fascinating, huh?
It is, and I would guess most people don't even notice those.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, we didn't notice it because what's in a serial number? We don't really care about the serial number, but I guess there are collectors that do, so pretty cool. All right, let's keep going. Moving on. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Did I say who the...
I don't know that you did.
Oh, Alice Collins. Yeah. Alice Collins over at Newsweek. Okay, so this next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Monsters walk among us, and they're watching Netflix at 1.5 times the speed. And I agree.
Right. I mean, it's hard to keep up some of them at normal speed.
Netflix and no chill is what I titled this one. Netflix's mobile app allows you to watch at 1.25 times and 1.5 times speeds. People tell the author that they use this for reality shows like Love is Blind, while others watch at the gym. So, hey, I did an hour run, but it was actually a 30-minute run.
Right, exactly. Or my workout is only 30 minutes, but I need to watch the whole show, so I better speed up the show.
That's hilarious. So their modern appetite for content might mean that they've stretched their brains to watch faster and faster. Information overload kind of requires you to either do something like this or filter out fluff, which is what I've done when creating ohmTown. Consider the delicate, nuanced performances of a network series like The Diplomat. Now imagine that sped up by 50%. Chipmunk style. This might not appeal to you. What is that? How is that pronounced?
I don't know how to pronounce it, but it seems like a cinephile or something.
A cineast? Cineast? Who savors the art of the flickering screen. But for some people, this is a dream. They're watching Netflix at 1.5 times. What are these animals? Katie Natopoulos put this article together for BusinessInsider.com. And yeah, I guess some people watch this and I know people that listen to podcasts sped up, audiobooks sped up, but movies?
That seems really tough. I mean, unless it's like a really kind of fast paced and not a lot of concentration, maybe.
What is the retention of that? Quite a few truly impatient people.
Probably pretty low.
Yeah. So you got a quiz, right? Yeah, probably not. But then again, I don't watch movies to retain every subtle nuance. And most of the time you have to watch it again to catch something that somebody goes, hey, did you miss that part? Oh, yeah.
But I think it depends on the genre.
True. Young people consume content on their phones in strange and weird ways. It says, rest in peace, Quibi. You were ahead of your time. They found themselves sucked into the brain rot videos on TikTok where a dramatic clip from a show plays in a split screen of someone playing with slime or playing a video game. Their modern insatiable appetite for video content might mean that they've adapted and stretched our brains to watch faster and faster. That's an optimistic way of looking at it. And the other way is that our attention spans have dwindled down to the size of a grape.
I think that's more spot on.
Yep. So there you go, folks. If you're one of the weirdos out there, come and hang out in twitch.tv/ohmTown. I'm saying it slowly so that when you sped up, you're hearing it at normal speed and it actually clicks. Or you can go to youtube.com/ohmTown. And don't forget, you can download the podcasts. Just do a search for ohmTown. You'll find us.
And you can speed them up if you want.
So we're going to move on. Anyway, and you're not sped up. It's just me talking faster this time. So this next article is over at Technology Today. A virulent new quote-unquote super strain of bacteria is rapidly spreading in Asia. Yay!
Just no.
Is it by that, what was the name of it again?
It's not clearly tied to Wuhan.
Wuhan Solo. The newly identified.
Oh, maybe that's the new Star Wars trilogy.
Let's not. No. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine that? The new Star Wars trilogy is about a virus that goes around eliminating the rebels.
No, I don't think anybody's ready for that.
Gain of function Millennium Falcon. So the newly identified ST164 strain of antibiotic-resistant crab bacteria. Please change that name.
I mean, that's giving us visions of the bacteria like walking like a crab, which is not good.
Or people getting crabs. Spreading in Asia, posing a global health risk due to, because head crabs are the things that grab onto your face from Alien, implant a
none of this is good.
Xenomorph, chest burster style. Rigorous infection control and genomic monitoring are critical to containing its spread. A new study reveals that a highly virulent strain of antibiotic-resistant bacteria, which causes severe illness. Ah, crap. So, University of Birmingham over at scitechdaily.com. Rigorous infection control and genomic monitoring are critical to containing its spread. How about... Okay, well, I'm really curious. Over a 3-month period in 2021, the experts conducted extensive genomic surveillance within the ICU at Hangzhou, revealing that 80.9% of the what? The what? Or it must be the bacteria or crab. And what is it called? So Chinese Intensive Care Unit ICU is kind of funny that they break that out. But crab is carbapenem resistant Acinetobacter baumannii, or crab.
I mean, they were right to give it an acronym. But crab is not good.
Acinetobacter. So it's just a bacteria. Anything with bacter on it is a bacterium. Anyway, the A. baumannii bacteria found in patients were crab, with ST164 accounting for 40.2% of the sample. So it was published in Nature Communications. Researchers from the University of Birmingham and Zhejiang University revealed that other hospital wards and transferred patients could be sources of new crab strains entering the ICU. Yeah. Latest research shows one strain, GC2, among crab isolates fell from 99.5 in 2019 to 50.8 in 2021. The remaining population mainly consisted of ST164 isolates that have been evolving since mid-2020 and have twice the levels of measurable resistance to carbapenems that the GC2 strains have. So,
this is just too soon. I know this is bacteria, but I don't
Hey,
think the world is ready for this.
it's just as dangerous if it compromises lungs. You're, you know, and it's antibiotic resistant. So your normal course of action would be, well, not anymore. Antibiotic resistant infections are a major
Panic
threat.
and run.
Yeah, wear your mask, but nobody's going to wear their mask because, hey, it just miraculously goes away, right? Yeah, after hundreds of thousands of people dropped it. So they published this information and now we monitor. So it's been growing and mutating since at least 2019. In 2021 is the most known prolific ST164 clone. Let's keep moving, though. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Fans react after NFL referee calls penalty in perfect German. Audiences were astounded today to hear an NFL ref speaking German on the field. 1 second. I'm so sorry.
I'm sure that was surprising.
Yeah, Nathan Kamal over at Newsweek.com put this article together. NFL fans and commentators alike were flummoxed today to hear a ref call out a penalty in perfect German. I'm not going to bother playing it. Fehlstart Angriff 5 yards. I'm not sure why yards is actually broken out like that. But anyway, Strafe. It's a 5-yard penalty. False start offense, 5-yard penalty. Interestingly, Ocholi then switched back to English, continuing. It's by the center. It's third down. It's unclear why the ref called the penalty in half English, half German. But it had a pretty immediate effect on commentators. As one can hear the official NFL clip above, Sports Center or sportscaster Rich Eisen is audibly surprised and lets out an "oh."
That's interesting.
While another says, "Looks like look at Sean Hochuli hooked on phonics." That's pretty funny.
Well, apparently his father called out something in Spanish previously.
Oh, so it's a thing. Draws attention to the refs. So that's some damn good marketing, I'd say. While fans, broadcasters, and social media users alike seem pretty astounded that the NFL official would speak German on the field, it has to be reiterated that the actual game is being played in the third largest city in Germany. So it's actually quite a bit of sense.
Okay, I was wondering if this is one of these where I didn't realize that they have some games in Europe.
American viewers might actually be underestimating how popular the NFL is becoming in Europe right now and in Germany specifically. So context matters, folks. Interesting. They buried the lead. I mean, if that would have been at the very top, we wouldn't have read this far into it. Anyway, let's keep moving then. The next article is over in Tabletop Nights. So RP Gamer Roundup, November 3rd to November 10th. This is the end of the week, and this article, this selection, is only available within the last 24 hours. That's where this news comes from. Our weekly shows can sometimes include this kind of stuff, but we actually kind of rarely put RP Roundup in a daily show. So it says, welcome to the latest edition of RP Gamer's Roundup column. So let's just jump straight on over to rpgamer.com. Alex Fuller put the article together, and they go through this list of all of the games that they've discovered between November 3rd and November 10th. Dragon Age, the Veilguard, they have a review, and that's what they are linking to. So they have editorial content about Dragon Age, the Veilguard. It's a very, very popular game right now. A lot of people think that it's kind of a flat game, but a lot of fun still, where the characters are kind of meh and the story is kind of straightforward and linear and flat. And people like wanted it to be like Baldur's Gate 3, but apparently not
just
so
not
much.
There.
Yep. They talk about Metal Slug Tactics, The Legend of Heroes, Trails through Daybreak 2. They got a bunch of retro styled RPG negative reverie news. Beastie Ball served into early access this month. New Arc line coming to early access this month. I have never heard of River City Girls 2. I didn't know that there was a 2, let alone a 1. Or didn't know that there was a 1, let alone a 2. Welcomes the Double Dragons next week. Carden CL is a free update coming in 5 months, I guess. RPG Maker with PS4 and PS5 Western release announced. And a bunch more. So they got a whole bunch of news in this, and they link to podcasts and other things that they find really fascinating. So if you're interested in that kind of composite stuff, definitely follow the links in the show notes or in the VOD. They'll be in that VOD for the next 60 days. So let's keep moving. Sound good?
Sounds good.
So this next article is over in Late Night Geeks. Encore is an AI-powered search engine for your thrifting needs. Former Apple engineer Alex Ruber and former Twitter and Asana engineer Parth Chopra first met on Y Combinator's founder Match platform, then met in person at a thrift store for shopping. They later went on a thrift store shopping trip, where they talked about solving problems with finding the right product in the online space. So, of course, AI. AI has to mine data for it to be effective. So,
Right, and it only makes sense. I mean, thrifting is very localized.
so I'm really
But if
curious.
you can get it into online, that would probably be good for the buyers and the sellers.
So their AI, their engine is going to have to tap into all of these other sites. So it says the entire secondhand shopping market is really fragmented. There are hundreds of sources out there, such as Depop, Mercari, ThreadUp, eBay, Craigslist, and more. It's hard for consumers to sift through all of them and try to get the product you're looking for. So they wanted to remove that friction for users, which is great. It's news similar, news adjacent. Are they scraping the sites? Because we don't scrape sites.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I kind of wonder about how this is happening. Are they teaming up with these, like Craigslist and everything, or are they just pulling the information?
Yeah, I don't know how they're actually doing it, because if it's balkanized like that, eBay, I don't think allows you to tap into an API. I don't think. I'll have to look. And Craigslist doesn't, they've got enough momentum where if they do have an API or something like that, they can charge for it, I suppose. I don't know.
Right.
I haven't looked in that side of things. Plus, what's going to happen when you're big enough and they decide to yank your API access like Reddit did to countless other developers?
Oh, that's true. That wasn't disruptive at all.
Not at all. But it was great for investors. The search engines also show partial prompts such as outfit inspo for and shop from the show. When you tap on them, you can complete the prompt through auto-populated suggestions or your own words. So on Encore, the service, you can type your query and get matches from multiple resources, including Poshmark, The RealReal, Grailed, Etsy, eBay. Because Encore uses a large language model tech, you can type a query like show me address at Emily Warren, Emily in Paris, season 3, episode 4. Brilliant. Where are they getting their data?
Yeah, I can't decide if it's like a search engine or what it is, and whether they're teaming up with these other sites.
Right. It's interesting. So I don't know. I would have to do a search to see if RealReal has an API that you can tap into. Many sites do, but this is the kind of thing, though, that ends up pissing off people, because now, whereas I'm of the mind, and I honestly am, services like this allow someone who has information overload to do a search and go to the source. That's kind of what ohmTown does, right? We are actually provided this information through their public means, and then we direct people to these sites. And there's no ads on the site, and we have a little snippet. We limit our impact, and we kind of spur curiosity through this public discussion, right? That's the value add. So if you find us valuable, then like and subscribe to us on YouTube and or Twitch, and download the podcast and leave a review. I would love to start seeing more reviews over on the Apple podcasts in particular. But this is a value add, and I think that it's very important if it's done right. When it's done wrong, there's blowback, and it can shut off access to other people who are doing it, quote unquote, the right way. So I'm really interested in this. So I'll probably take a look at Encore, even though I'm not much of a shopper to begin with. I mean, look at my clothing, for crying out loud. Anyway, pretty neat because it aggregates all of these other locations into one. It does lower the friction, but some people could take it the wrong way and lash out.
Yeah, I don't know how the sites will, like if it drives more traffic to those sites, they might actually like it. And it'll be interesting. I mean, there's definitely a win if you get more used products into people's hands, so they're not buying new and contributing to problems like microplastics, etc.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm kind of curious about the engine here. How are they making money? Because it's going to be expensive to operate this thing as it ramps up more and more people. If there's ads on it, somebody else's ads next to a product sometimes causes a representation issue. So anyway,
Well,
let's keep
I'm
on
also
moving.
interested too, because there's a lot of sites that are in this space, but there's a lot of in real life sites too that are not necessarily online, but maybe that'll change over time.
Yeah. And I guess the ones that are not online are missing a lot of potential customers. I hope that they're all tech savvy, because that space really does need, thrift stores are hyper local because that's where they're getting their content from. Usually, if they don't go online, they have the potential to miss out on a lot. They're saying that this market's going to reach $350 billion globally by 2028, but global is such a huge thing. Got to
Well,
think
and
local.
who can really afford to ship things globally?
Yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't mean there isn't a demand around the world. I just mean some of it's got to be a little more localized in terms of the transaction.
So the startup currently relies on affiliate shares for revenue generation. So they must be tapped into like eBay API or Etsy API or something like that that allows them to do this, because if they're redirecting traffic through some affiliate proxy, whatever, that actually increases friction because it's slower to get to the solution. But they're going to say the company is also experimenting with $3 a month subscription, providing unlimited searches with advanced models. But again, I suspect that this is something that maybe the shop owners don't really care, as long as they're getting anybody showing up.
Well, it's interesting because in concept, it's going to drive their sales up. On the other hand, it could drive sales to competitors. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they react to this.
Yeah, because if I do a search for camera purse, I may pull up a bunch of these, but the search engine itself pulls up that shop. And if they go somewhere else because they found one for $3 less, you just cost me $12.
Right.
All right. Let's keep moving. Our last article for today is over in the mobile channel. Hackers keep stealing tickets from people's Ticketmaster accounts. We've actually talked about this a couple of times now, but apparently it's still going on. Ticketmaster controls a majority of major concert venues ticketing, and they provide this as kind of a turnkey solution, and they price out everybody else who might want to buy tickets. You have to go through Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster has a higher price set than what the box office
Well,
would
and the
have been.
venues too, they kind of like make it very attractive for venues to sign up with Ticketmaster.
Yeah, because they give them a shit ton of money right out of the gate, right? And so we know from watching documentary evidence of the practice that if you decide that you're not interested in using Ticketmaster, they'll freeze your ass out as being a venue to promoters, because Ticketmaster has a promotion wing that goes out to the artists and says, hey, we've got venues, this venue, this venue, this venue. And if you decide that you're not interested in Ticketmaster, those promoters will block you. They will ban you from, they won't even drop your name. I mean, it's basically like the kid under the stairs kind of a thing, right? So Ticketmaster controls the majority of major concert venue ticketing. Any government litigation against Ticketmaster is probably DOA now. I'm calling it now. Yeah. So Business Insider reported yesterday about, oh, by the way, this article is by Thomas Maxwell over at gizmodo.com, but they found this via Business Insider, reported yesterday about a string of customers checking their emails only to discover that someone had broken into their Ticketmaster accounts and transferred their tickets away. This has been something that seems to have been growing ever since their supposed innocuous breach that didn't have any impact on anything.
Yeah, it does seem like it was connected pretty closely in time. I am surprised that it's continuing, though.
If they haven't done anything actively, because they would have to notify everybody in that database. Hey, all of your shit's compromised, but maybe it isn't totally. Maybe this is just happenstance. Correlation is not causation, right? So Mackenzie was eventually able to get their tickets returned or by Ticketmaster's customer support. Others haven't been so lucky. Business Insider identified another individual who had their tickets stolen, returned to them by Ticketmaster only to visit their concert and encounter two individuals who discovered their tickets had been swiped only once they got to the gate. Reddit similarly is home to many complaints from users saying similar things had happened to them. Yeah. And
we've heard other accounts, right, of people buying tickets and then the tickets don't seem to exist.
And I know from direct experience that I purchased tickets and they vaporized the night of.
Which makes you think it might be something like this.
Yep. And I had, what was really weird about it is that I had crashed for the night because I knew that I was going to be on a long drive, and I woke up and I was like, something doesn't feel right. And at 11 o'clock at night, I called the person and to no avail, sent an email, called the number for where I purchased the tickets, eventually got this person on the horn via direct messaging only, no voice-to-voice communication. And they somehow found me 2 tickets on the other side in the exact same spot.
They weren't the original tickets, though.
Right. Yeah. The same tier, same location, same venue, same everything, except over there, 300 feet. So it was amazing that I got it, but I was literally 8 hours away from having to drive away to the venue. So yeah, it was quite fascinating. So it's not just the Justice Department mad at Live Nation and Ticketmaster. Concert goers have been frustrated with companies for years over their poor handling of ticket sales, but it's kind of the Reddit style of thing, you know, you'll be back, kiss her ass.
Well, consumers have absolutely no choice in this. If they want to see a certain artist or if they want to be at a certain venue, they have to use Ticketmaster and Live Nation.
Yep.
So it's not just don't go. Well, that might be their only tour ever, or that's the only time they play that song that you want to hear.
Yeah, but so you've got to pay you have to pay the squeeze. It's just so, and you never know because the security apparently is a sieve. So one day your tickets are there, the next day you're sitting there fighting to figure out where your freaking tickets are. So Live Nation was permitted to acquire Ticketmaster back in 2010 after signing a consent decree saying, amongst other things, that it would not retaliate against venues that chose other ticketing providers, meaning that they can still promote through Live Nation. But again, Live Nation controls a vast swath of major venues. Just this year, the people have been talking about the fact that if you don't use Live Nation, they'll punch you. And you won't even, it isn't that hey, I'm going to use a different ticketing solution. They won't send artists to your venue.
Yeah, it's a much bigger thing than just the consumer part of it.
Right. And it's bigger than the venue itself. They're not going to the venue and saying, okay, well, we're not going to allow you to use Ticketmaster. They're saying via Live Nation, we won't promote an artist to your venue. Right?
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's very systemic.
Yeah, it's because they have a monopoly and they control the market, and they use it through acquisitions and mergers, and then now financial might. They buy the venue out and say, here is, $12 million worth of tickets, and we're going to make, 18 million on the other side. So they get their money fast. They can invest it, and each month that this money is sitting there, they make more money because they invest it. Anyway, I find it really compelling that maybe there is a problem here, stuff like this and the historical record of this. But companies will abuse because the motto is profits no matter what.
Right. There's not a lot of incentive otherwise.
Yeah. Because they only have one mandate, and that's the investor being pissed off. So we're going to punch our ticket, and that's going to bring us back to the front page of ohmTown.com. And I'm going to say, see you later. I'm going to go sit down in my concert seat.
That may or may not be there.
That may or may not be there. But it'll be warmer if there is a person there, because I'll just sit directly on their lap. And when they struggle, I'll just go, you're sitting in my seat. Here's my ticket. Anyway. Thanks for co-hosting Sentient AI from the Future.
Thanks for having me, Mayor Watt, and thanks for joining us, ohmTown citizens. We'll have another episode of this tomorrow, but stay tuned. We have some weekly shows ahead.
What's the first weekly show that we're going to do?
WarCrafters.
Then Technology Today, and then Four Wheel Tech. Now, they're all niche news segments, and we kind of get snarky through it all anyway. Well, I do. Sentient AI tolerates Mayor Watt. At least until you get that Terminator body. All right. See you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Punch your ticket. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for November 11th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 316. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the Sentient AI from the Future, we are going to walk you down Main Street, ohmTown.com, where you can become a citizen. And we're going to look to the left, look to the right. It might be different for your left and right. We're going to talk about a city treasurer spent city treasure on lottery, but I'm a citizen. Can't I spend that money? How about a human case of bird flu in Canada, or crowd control measures at the Trevi Fountain? Wicked Barbie gets a new meaning. Clone sheep. Ubisoft gets sued for The Crew. Gopher experiment at Mount St. Helens. Yes, Mount St. Helens. That's how it's pronounced. Never words for doctors to avoid. Smart glasses for drivers, and snail species named after Tolkien characters. That and hopefully some humor. I mean, Non Sequitur News it's news with humor and completely disjointed production value. Let's get into it. All right. Hello, Sentient AI from the Future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, ohmTown citizens.
Man. So, I found out today that I've been paying for a subscription to 12 iterations of the same digital magazine.
Oh my.
Because whenever it said that it wasn't going through,
Oh no, it kept adding one.
it kept adding one.
Oh my.
Yeah, that was an interesting discovery today. So let's get into today's articles. For those of you who are new here, non sequitur news is news. It is the culmination of a news aggregation site that I put together, ohmTown.com. It used to be private, but 3 years ago I opened it up to the public. Now you can use it too. You can just go over there, sign up. It's just a couple of fields. I don't do any tracking. There isn't even any ads on the website. I want it to be fast and effective and efficient for me, my information overload. The sentient AI utilizes it for news aggregation as well. And countless others. I don't even know how many are on the site, but they use it to manage information overload. So you can too. And then once you're there, you can save articles, you can submit them, you can send them to people, you can make lists, you can have conversations, but most of the time people are just using it to manage their information overload, aggregating a bunch of news into one spot under topics. We have 50 topics. Kind of fun, kind of cool. I'm solving my problem. I hope that it solves yours too. So go over there, become a citizen. And if you want all of today's show notes and you're over at the Twitch chat, because YouTube does not like ohmTown, you can hit !NSN and ohmTown will spit the articles out into the chat. You can follow the links to ohmTown and then sign up. Anyway, let's get going. Sound good?
Sounds good.
So this this article just kind of blows my mind. But I'm a citizen too. I can spend city money on right. So a Pennsylvania city treasurer spent $1,500 a day on lottery.
That's a lot of lottery tickets.
Using taxpayers' dime. So a former city treasurer at Uniontown, Pennsylvania, has been convicted for embezzlement of $106,000 in public funds for support or to support their $1,500 a day lottery habit. That this would fall into criminal addiction. Antoinette Hodge, 54, is separately accused of stealing an additional $112,000 from the Baptist Association that they are affiliated with, and is scheduled to face trial on forgery charges in that case next month. But
wow, I guess she was going after every organization she had some connection to.
Man, her main responsibility was to collect and deposit cash and checks received by the tax office. But between 2020 and 2021, she failed to deposit more than $106,000 in cash, using the money instead for personal expenses, including vacations, casino gambling, and her expensive lottery fixation. Yikes.
I wonder how they found this. Like, I wonder if they audited and went, hey, wait a second, we're kind of lacking this year.
What I don't get, though, is... Oh, wait. It never went into the accounts. So it would appear that all of the people who actually were paying taxes were not paying taxes.
Well, that's true. So maybe people started getting delinquency notices or something, because that's what I started to think. Like, well, somebody could be harmed. It'd be one thing if it was marked that they paid and then that didn't match up with something.
And that would be about the time frame, because maybe it started late 2020 and went all the way until 2021 and was caught in 2022, because it takes about 2 years actually to fully catch and audit, particularly in government. It's not like the very next quarter, but it should have been caught sooner.
Hey, look at this. She changed the system. Now they don't take cash anymore.
Oh, and that's even worse. Wow. Yeah. pretty wild. So they say financial distress. Hodge will be sentenced on November 21st, be back in court, facing 33 counts of forgery, 3 counts of theft in the YWBA case. Wow. Well, the article is actually over at casino.org, and Philip Connoller is the author of this. There's always more. They have a picture. We don't even accept the pictures. I don't know how that's actually in ohmTown, because we don't allow the pictures to even be embedded, so I'm not even sure what's going on here. I need to go and look. It might be the way that their feed allows us to view their...
I think this particular source
is really
maximizes,
wonky. Yeah. Oh, wait. We have a very specific... There we go. Yeah.
That's right. That fits here.
All right. I got to put it away. Otherwise, I'll leave it there. And 3 articles later, the sentient AI will go, hey, that spoiler alert. Anyway. So yeah, pretty cool that casino.org stumbles across these kind of things. And I think it's because it specifically mentions casino in it. And so because they focus on things like table gaming and other things.
Right.
Online.
But we've had some pretty interesting stories from them.
Yeah. I like their news, and I like sending traffic their way. So go over there and become a fan of theirs as well. All right, let's keep going. This next article is over in Non Sequitur News. That's where it's aggregated from, but it's actually from Newsweek. We'll get there here in a second. First human case of bird flu detected in Canada. Now, that title, is that the first human bird case?
I'm not sure. That's actually why it was submitted, but it may just be the first one in Canada. I can't remember if they've had one in the US.
I don't recall. So investigations are underway after a teenager from British Columbia, now receiving care in hospital, was infected via an unknown source. So were they kissing birds? So Tom Howarth over at newsweek.com put the article together.
So the US had its first case in 2022 of a human.
Gotcha. Okay. So it says this is a rare event, says Dr. Bonnie Henry, a doctor with 2 first names. British Columbia's provincial health officer said in a statement, while it is the first detected case of H5 in a person in British Columbia or in Canada, there have been a small number of cases in the U.S. and elsewhere. The
article answered it for us.
Yeah, we just have to slow our roll. Woosah, woosah, woosah. ASMR News. The initial positive test was performed at the British Columbia Centre for Disease Control, or Public Health Laboratory, with samples now being sent to the National Microbiology Laboratory in Winnipeg for confirmatory testing.
I like their abbreviation, BCCDC.
BCCDC. What I started laughing about was, that they're infected if they start clucking and pecking at the ground.
Right, absolutely. Or laying an egg.
If they lay an egg, or if they start acting like a real pecker, then you really know that they're infected. So the case comes amid unprecedented global spread of the H5N1 avian influenza virus since 2022 because, COVID isn't bad enough. You need another.
You gotta have multiple, exactly.
Yeah. So now that the COVID is endemic, it is here. It's just being managed through medication and treatment, and some people have resistance, but they're still spreaders. You think that you're immune, but you're not really immune. You become a carrier for it. So screw everybody else, right? Anyway, survival of the fittest, as it were. I've actually heard people say that, and you kind of go, what? Little sociopath.
Would you think the same if it was your family or yourself? Probably not.
Yeah, they're sociopaths. Nobody puts a lot of people don't put a bumper sticker on their car until the fit hits their Shan, I suppose. Anyway, officials are monitoring the situation closely as influenza viruses can adapt and change when different strains mix. There's been no additional cases identified at the time, and public health teams are following up with any individual who may have been exposed. So stop kissing ducks. Keep your mouth off ducks.
Which you should be doing anyway, regardless of avian flu.
Man. CDC actually warned people in the States to stop kissing ducks and chickens. Quit kissing peckers. Anyway, crowd control measures to be introduced at the Trevi Fountain and Pompeii. The introduction of an entrance fee has been proposed at the Rome landmark. The article is over at the Art newspaper. Gareth Harris put the article together. The introduction of an entrance fee has been proposed at the Rome landmark. And that's because, well, over tourism.
Right. Too many people all at the same time.
Statement. But it's not. You know what? You said at the same time.
It is. Everybody's there in the same season, which makes it worse.
The fountain was emptied of water last month and cordoned off while the €300,000 conservation project is underway. Over the next few weeks, up to 130 people at a time will be able to stand for a few minutes on the walkway, which will remain set up until the restoration work is complete. The last major restoration work was done 10 years ago. Since then, grime, bacteria, calcium deposits, and weeds have accumulated at the historic site. And then the tourists leave and take their grime, bacteria, calcium deposits, and weeds with them.
Well, we would hope, but they don't. They leave them there.
Ooh, yeah. Leave it how you found it, folks. Anyway, maintenance work is going to be underway. And you know what? I don't like the idea of kind of gatekeeping access and stuff like that. But, you know, if people lack respect and they treat it like it's their own backyard, or worse, actually, because it isn't their backyard, they don't give a shit, and they, stick their gum to the, fountain, then yeah, we have to get brutal. But there's no accounting for respect. One person thinks that they're respectable, and they're horrible when they go out and it's not somebody else. It's not their stuff. They'd get pissed if somebody was damaging their car, but they have no problem carving their initials into the bench.
It's something historical.
Yeah. So Trevi, completed in 1762, is built on the rear facade of the Palazzo Poli and incorporates statues made of white Carrara marble, rich Corinthian leather. Sorry, that's a callback to way back.
Something else.
Yeah, entirely. So the fountain is considered a late Baroque, not Baroque, masterpiece, and has featured in a number of films, notably Federico Fellini's La Dolce Vita from 1960. Anyway, yeah, officials at Pompeii are saying they're going to do the same thing, limit daily visitors to the site down to 20,000 people, and also introduce personalized tickets with visitors' full names. The move comes after 36,000 people visited Pompeii on an admission-free day last month.
Well, I'm not surprised. Probably everybody went on that single day.
Yeah, standard Pompeii tickets are priced from €18. I've been to Pompeii a couple of times, and I was really young, and I don't remember a fee associated with it, but they're doing fabulous work there and discovering new things from time to time. So on with the pricing. That's fine. Let's keep going, though. Sounds good?
Sounds good, but it did say that it sounds like they're going to halt the throwing coins into the fountain, which I think is part of the appeal of the visit.
You know what? They should put a little bucket next to the fountain, and you can say, throw it into the bucket.
Well, they did.
Well, look at that.
Did you read that?
No, I skim over most of it. So this next article is going to be a doozy for anybody who might have fine sensibilities.
Yeah, we need a banner, but we don't have one. Yeah, there you go.
So Auntie M, wicked Barbie boxes send people to a hardcore porn site. Hey,
I
look, we
think
all
it's
know.
funny as to what the the version of Barbie was that sent this.
Leather Barbie. So, look, we all know that apparently it says Barbie looks at porn. I don't know, man. That's might be pushing it too far.
That's from the article, not us.
Yeah. So this is actually an article from Kotaku, but it says she's an adult woman. It's no big deal. Yeah, she's like 80 or something now, right? We're on the other side.
Right, right.
But maybe it's more of an issue that she starts leaving tabs open all over her merch sold to kids. Yeah, you got to draw the line somewhere. This is what happened on the boxes of two Wicked movie tie-in Barbie dolls. They're selling for upwards of $2,100 on eBay. People actually got a hold of them.
That's all right.
The URL on the packaging for the movie's dolls isn't exactly suitable for children, but don't go to the URL. Don't let your kids go to the URL. But we're talking about it. So guess what?
Yeah, but we're not going to feature the URL in this story, but it might be visible.
I don't think it's visible. So John Walker put the article together. It's over at Kotaku.com. They did a really uncanny job of making this Barbie, Wicked Barbie. These are the two Wicked Barbies, right? This looks
right.
really close to the actor.
Yeah, they did.
That is uncanny close. Wow. Anyway, so it says maybe it's more of an issue when she starts leaving the tabs all open all over the place. So apparently, Elphaba, who is Cynthia Erivo, I think that's her. She pronounced her last name, but anyway, yeah, bad witch indeed. Wicked witch indeed. Apparently, it says, however, those who did read the fine print on the new dolls got quite a shock when they followed the URL listed for their products. The address on the boxes is, it is there.
Yeah, let's just skip past that.
Oh, should have been wickedmovie.com, but they did not go to wickedmovie.com.
But it was something else.
It was something else. I mean, and it doesn't really, come on, it's all over the place. So anyway, the site that they sent them to was an adult content site. Already been doing a roaring trade in mistaken traffic long before Barbie's Goof. The musical has been an astonishing hit since 2003, sitting on Broadway and touring worldwide ever since. The movie itself will have added to that, with early word suggesting it's going to be a very good box office. But, oh God. I'm not going to say anything. Anyway, but Barbie pushed it to the mainstream with news sites jumping on the air. Mattel told Hollywood Reporter. So they've been pulling the boxes off of the shelves.
I'm sure, but they probably already sold some.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They're also gone from Amazon, although the UK version of the retailer still has listings, albeit with no option to buy. Those box dolls are going to be worth a fortune. If you bought one, for God's sake, don't let your kids get their hands on it. So, yeah. I saw other people saying over $2,000 for one of them. They sold for $20 to $40.
I mean, this is not the kind of buzz you want around your baby.
Yeah. Wicked. Oh, so apparently there's word that they're trying to get the Barbenheimer phenomenon with Wicked and Gladiator 2. So
yeah, but is something that I want to pair up with Wicked after this?
Wicked-ator, I don't know. Fun though. Anyway, go check out this article and you can get the URL yourself. We're gonna move on. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Nice pom-poms. So reality hackers, where the next article is, the U.S. has a cloned sheep contraband problem after a Montana man, the Florida man of Montana, apparently, illegally cloned and bred an endangered giant sheep species. Government agencies must now contend with the illicit offspring. What?
This probably belongs in Reality Hacker.
So Matt Reynolds over at Wired.com put this article together. So one of the talks that I give is about technology and about how science and technology have not short-circuited, but basically supplanted natural selection, the natural order of things. And so I quiz people, hey, what is an area where technology cannot intrude? And I usually get a pretty broad gamut of stuff, but creating life is no longer limited to the natural order of things. You know, we can do in vitro fertilization, which actually takes two parts that are separate and distinct and nothing created from nothing, right? It's the two parts that merge to become one, right? But even if we do in vitro fertilization, maybe a person can't bring that merged entity to fruition. Well, now there are synthetic wombs, so you don't even need a person.
Well, the only good thing about that is it's not harming actual wildlife, but this is really ridiculous.
Well, in this, they actually used Montana Mountain King semen to impregnate ewes and then sold the offspring, each carrying some Marco Polo Argali genetics, to people involved in big game hunting. It says it's a weird case, but likely only the second time that an American has been prosecuted for a wildlife crime that involved animal cloning. In 2011, a man was fined $1.5 million in order to surrender smuggled deer, as well as nearly $1 million in deer semen. Can you imagine the actuarial table on that? Like, somebody had to sit there and figure out what that was worth and what the long-term value of it was. That's $1 million.
Yeah, that would have been a weird court case.
Jeepers creepers. So there's another strange element to the Schubarth story. Potentially dozens of MMK's descendants may now be at large in the U.S. These sheep that contain genetics from MMK are defined as contraband in the handful of plea agreements that were signed by men who were alleged to have bought sheep from Schubarth or transported ewes to his ranch in Montana to be impregnated. What isn't clear is how many sheep are at large and what exactly has happened to them. So we're going to have some bad bat or something. These are just giant sheep, though. So what really is the big deal, right?
Well, a couple of things. One, they're not native because there was some more history that you skipped over at the beginning intentionally. But then also they're going to mix with wild populations like that. There's going to be some problems. But also they're not allowed to have them. So then it's like, what do you do with them?
Right. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, if they catch them all, they're going to put them down, or transport them to their indigenous.
Maybe a sanctuary or something.
Yeah. Wherever they're actually supposed to be. At least several dozen sheep that may have carried MMK's offspring, and each have those may have several lambs. The same document also alleges that one of MMK's offspring was transported from Minnesota to Schubarth's ranch in Montana in May of 2019. Then in July of 2020, Schubarth agreed to sell 11 of MMK's grandchildren for a total of $13,200, and one of MMK's children, a sheep called Montana Black Magic, for $10,000 alone, which apparently exemplifies, that's kind of how it works when they exemplify the traits of the progenitors.
Right, but now they're down to 2 generations already. Because they talked about grandchildren.
Yep, at least one sheep is accounted for, MMK himself. The sheep had initially been taken to a Zoological Association of America accredited facility in Oregon, says Christina Meister of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. MMK was flown across the country to Rosalind Gifford Zoo in Syracuse, New York, where he will be housed for the long term. MMK is expected to be on exhibition at the zoo in mid-November. So right about now. Anyway, 4 men who have been indicted in the interlinked cases all signed plea agreements that require them to quarantine any sheep in their possession containing Marco Polo Argali genetics. The plea agreements also require the men to abandon all property rights in the sheep and allow the USFWS to neuter the animals. Yikes. The men also have to submit autopsy reports for any of the sheep die. So, wow.
Well, this is even worse because then it affects the ones that have been bred with the clone sheep. I mean, this could be hundreds, thousands over time.
Yeah, if they don't nip it in the bud. So this article goes on to much greater detail. They say that the president at the pet cloning company via Gen Pets says his company requires its clients to sign a document stating that they have legal rights to clone from the tissue they're providing. If it's something of a sensitive origin, then we would investigate, and we may have friends in regulatory roles. They can investigate anything suspicious. That's interesting. And we have many friends in regulatory roles.
Exactly.
What kind of bullshit is
That's
that?
a nice way of saying, hey, we're calling up the fill in the blank letters at whatever time we choose.
Yeah, but is everything on the up and up? Or is it like, hey, don't tell anyone, but we have MMK sheep here. Can we find out a little bit of
No, I
information?
think it's more like don't bother us if you're trying to do something illegal. But I don't know, it's very weird.
Right? I mean, this is a hop, skip, and jump from cover your ass
Bad.
to we can circumvent it because we know if anybody knows about this, Wow. Anyway, in the meantime, there's still a matter of those hybrid sheep. A 4th man implicated in a Schubarth case was sentenced to 3 years probation and $25,000 in fines. He also signed a plea agreement. He's alleged to have bought 12 hybrid Marco Polo Argali sheep from Schubarth. Well, where are they? Yeah, interesting.
Exactly. Some of them are just running amok.
Amok. Let's move on. The next article is over in WarCrafters. Ubisoft is being sued for shutting down the crew. Finally, again, stop killing games. I really think that the same thing should be applied to, well, what do you think? Should we talk about it?
Oh, it should definitely be applied to Ticket to Ride.
Yep. So 2 Californian gamers, and I should probably contact them, are suing Ubisoft in a proposed class action lawsuit over the developer and publisher recent shutting down of racing game The Crew. And the thing about it is, it's not shut down entirely. Just a large segment.
Enough to be annoying and costly.
And limiting in the fact that I actually purchased a game with X, Y, and Z. Well,
right, they've changed the terms after the fact.
Ubisoft released the game in December of 2014. 10 years later, they shut it down. They shut down its servers after a decade due to server infrastructure and licensing constraints. After the servers shut down, the game, again, the consumer shouldn't have to be bound by your third-party agreements. I'm sorry, we buy under a certain set of rules, and you can change your rules anytime you damn well please, but we can't because we buy based on the rules.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the consumer has no bargaining power.
After the server shut down, except for litigation, except for going class action. So that's, I guess, a class action is basically the consumer version of a union. So after the server shut down, the game became totally unplayable due to the lack of a single player offline mode. When the shutdown was announced on December 2023, Ubisoft did offer refunds to people who recently purchased The Crew, but given the age of the game, a lot of the players were unable to participate. And I actually heard people say, you got enough playtime out of the game. No, kiss my ass. What, I
You
should
didn't
be able
sign
to,
up for a game that was going to be ending because
I
you're
should,
investing time and money.
yeah, so you've been in your house for 15 years. That's plenty of time to enjoy the fun of the walls. So now I'm
Right, you're
kicking
like,
your
I'm
ass
not
out.
ready to go.
No, no, sorry. We're tired of having to manage that mortgage. We're going to take it over and we're going to remove you. No, kiss my ass. Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon.com put the article together. The issue is, once again, about the difference between buying and licensing games. Yeah, you have a license to consume it, but I have a license to consume it in the form in which I compensated you for that. So now give me back all of the money that I could have spent that $40 on, right? The games or whatever. It's not just $40. If I didn't spend it on that game, then I've got $40 plus all of the joy I could have gotten from a game that didn't get killed 10 years later.
Right. I like that they give an analogy here. I mean, I think anybody gaming understands what's happening, but this is for the non-gamers.
Right. So it's the one that says, imagine you buy a pinball, right? So the quote here, oh, by the way, let me back up again just to make sure that I say this. Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon.com put this article together. And the quote that's in here is, imagine you buy a pinball machine and years later you enter your den to go play it only to discover that all the paddles are missing, the pinball and bumpers are gone, and the monitor that proudly displayed your unassailable high score is removed. Lawyers wrote in the lawsuit, which was filed November 4th in a California court and reviewed by Polygon. Quote, turns out the pinball manufacturer decided to come into your home, gut the insides of the pinball machine, and remove your ability to play the game that you bought and thought you owned. Now, again, I'm going to draw attention to another podcast slash show on YouTube and Twitch where they talk about this in a sort of way where they go, well, you want to enjoy this game in perpetuity, but you don't want to pay for it in perpetuity. You want all of the updates and you want fun content, blah, 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 blah. But no, that's not the name of the game here. They should be required to create a secure solution. So patches and stability and all of that kind of stuff. I shouldn't have to pay for that. I already paid for that. The implication is that I pay for a stable game. Do I want add-on stuff? Yeah, sure. But make it DLC. But give me a whole, complete game, working game, one that I can play in perpetuity if I so freaking choose, because I paid $40 to $60, $100 nowadays for a game. And finally, you cannot go in and take back once which I bought, even if it was at some later date, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you can't show up and go, hey, I want that CD back. Right? Well, that's exactly what
No,
they
but
did.
you can do whatever you want with digital projects.
Correct. Yep. So the lawsuit alleges this is exactly what happened when Ubisoft shut down its servers for The Crew in 2024, suddenly leaving consumers unable to access something that they purchased and assumed they owned. We assume it because the licensing terms are miles long in legalese that don't really stipulate that you don't really own anything, because why would you? You literally purchase something. Now they have to change the terminology, but you're going to be moving a glacier of conceptual understanding. When you purchase something, when you license it, you don't license it for the terms unforeseeable. It's no longer a contract. There is no contract that is open-ended in perpetuity until whoever it is decides that it's no longer fiscally responsible for them to babysit a server. A contract is fixed in time, and then you assail it once more when you reach the horizon of that contract. 5 years, 10 years, whatever. It isn't just, hey, there's a line in this contract that says at some point, we're just going to punch you and there's no repercussions. We can punch you in the neck and there are no repercussions. This is just frustrating for anybody who has been around the block longer than 10 years. So both plaintiffs purchased the game well into its lifespan in 2018 and 2020, respectively, on physical discs. So they have for sale doctrine. They could have sold it to somebody else. The lawsuit says neither would have purchased the game on the same terms, i.e. price, knowing the game's servers could be taken down, rendering the crew totally unplayable in an offline mode. And the lawsuit also covers the backlash of Ubisoft's decision to shut down the servers and not include an offline version of the game. It cites several games that turned servers off but patched in an offline option, like Knockout City, and 2 of Ubisoft's own games, Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed 3. By the way, there are more games being turned off. We talked about it this weekend.
Yeah, there's quite a few, but I think this is interesting because Ubisoft figured out a way to do an offline version, so that's actually going to work against them here.
Yeah. Well, they're saying, well, licensing. Well, it's not our fault that your licensing terms sucked. So do it right. Get good. So Stop Killing Games movement is petitioning the European Union to force game companies to keep games in playable states. It currently has more than 379,000 signatures. But the European Union has already said you can't force a company to run a game in perpetuity. Well, no. You can force them to, if they offer up a multiplayer online environment, that they provide the servers at the end of life that they deem end of life. That should be, everybody should be a proponent of that. Oh, you don't like running the servers? Well, then give it to everybody so they can run the servers.
Exactly. Yeah, how is the company being harmed if they're not going to continue to sell it or update it or anything?
That's right. They're not. So I'm already on board with Stop Killing Games. I would love Ticket to Ride to get sued because they created an alternative version of the original one after it being hobbled, and it sucks ass. And the original, you could just release the server and somebody else could run it in perpetuity. But again, it's the licensing thing, they said. And the new version sucks. It's horrible. And I already paid.
And it doesn't cover all the things that people would have purchased with the original.
It doesn't cover any of the things that they purchased. I didn't get a refund and I didn't get compensated for it in any way. I didn't get the new version for free. I didn't get any add-ons for free. And nobody likes the new version. It literally sucks. But they garnered the benefit of it. Right? They made enough money. They kept on developing.
Right. Yeah, they're not seeing any downside.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to these people and see if this law firm wants to do another one. Why not? Anyway, let's move on. This next article is over on the Mobile Channel, the 24-hour gopher experiment that brought life back to Mount St. Helens. Scientists released gophers onto a plot of land 2 years after the eruption obliterated the landscape, and the results were magical.
I mean, how many times do you have magical gophers?
That's funny. I think I have like a big pile of ash from Mount St. Helens, and I made a Dorodango last weekend, and I keep thinking maybe I can make a Dorodango out of Mount St. Helens ash.
You could.
Now I got to find it though. Huh. Anyway, so gophers. I got to go for a walk and find that ash. Anyway, the article is over at gizmodo.com. Margarita Bossi put the article together. Scientists released gophers into a plot of land 2 years ago after the eruption obliterated the landscape, and the results are magical. Aw, look at that little gopher. On May 18th, 1980, Washington's Mount St. Helens covered 22,000 square miles with 540 million tons of ash. A few years later, scientists unleashed gophers into the part of the lifeless mountainside for 24 hours, hypothesizing that the animals' digging habits might dredge up some beneficial microorganisms and give the ecosystem a regenerative boost. And they were right. Now, researchers following in their footsteps 44 years later are highlighting just how enduring innovative ecosystem rescuing methods can be. So they left them there
for 24 hours.
and 44 years later, the impact of their actions, did they come back and get them?
I think they did. They must have had them like geotagged or something, even though at that time, I don't know how they would have.
They put like an Apple beacon.
I mean, how are they collecting the monkeys?
Oh, yeah. How many of those monkeys did they catch?
I think they have 25 of the 43.
Yeah, the rest of them are plotting to overthrow the planet. Planet of the apes. Planet of the macaques. 1983, the areas around Mount St. Helens that the scientists had chosen for their gopher experiment were heaps of collapsing slabs of porous pumice. Man, is there a Willy Wonka kind of thing going on there? Collapsing slabs of porous pumice.
And that's a quotation. I
Yeah, that
mean,
is a quote. According to the statement, with just about a dozen plants and some struggling seedlings staging a weak comeback 6 years after the brief gopher intervention, however, 2 plots of land hosted 40,000 thriving plants in stark contrast. There's the contract that Ubisoft is missing.
that's right.
The surrounding region was still mostly barren. In just 24 hours, the gophers' work seemed to be like magic, but the real secret, microorganisms. They basically churned the soil up in 24 hours.
That's really interesting. I wonder if they've ever used that in any other disasters.
I'm assuming, I don't know what all is in this article. I just see G's, but I'm using Vivendi, so I don't know if it's playing a role in the display. But anyway, the study also identified other helpful microorganism carriers. Pine, spruce, Douglas firs from the old growth forest on Mount St. Helens were covered in volcanic ash after the eruption, but were able to quickly grow back because of, you guessed it, helpful fungal friends. So
Fungus is a friend, not food.
but fungus is food as well. Not
I know,
everybody
I
likes
was
it.
playing off of the Finding Nemo thing.
Yeah. Finding fungi. Finding fungi with friends. It's a new app on the App Store. Anyway, this stood in stark contrast to other areas in the vicinity, which loggers had cleared of trees before the eruption. Without trees to drop needles or gophers to bring back crucial microorganisms, the area is still virtually barren over 40 years later. So there you go. We need trees and we need gophers.
Gophers. Let's bring some more gophers back in.
Or we need robots that can dig. And that's just one more element of the Matrix. Because they had robots that could go through tunnels and dig and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. This next article is over on Technology Today. New study identifies never words. Not never words. Never words that doctors should always avoid using. Like, sometimes our warranty is up.
I think that should be in here, but I don't think it is.
These never words can be harmful when spoken by clinicians. How about, I'm sorry, you have 48 hours to live, and I should have told you 36 hours ago.
Yeah, that could do it. I don't think you have a banner for this article, by the way.
Is it overshare or spoiler alert would work?
I think it's like trigger alert.
Oh, trigger alert? I'll have to come up with some more banners. That'll even help in our production value. Seriously ill patients and their families experience intense emotional suffering, and researchers, including a professor from Texas A&M University, emphasize that clinicians must use compassionate communication as part of their treatment process. Like, don't come out and just go, oops.
You're done.
Yeah.
Oh, right, that too. So yeah, verbally, this might trigger somebody if they've been through serious medical stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So like, you don't want to come out and go, if you're a doctor, you don't want to come out and go, look, we tried everything, but your husband was a real asshole. So we stopped trying.
I don't think that's going to be in here.
Oh, look, her hand is even up. I know you're upset, but no, just no. Leslie Hinton, Texas A&M University, put the article together. It's posted at scitechdaily.com. These never words can be harmful when spoken by clinicians to patients and families facing serious illness. Do they actually have a rundown of them?
They do. I looked ahead a little bit at this.
Okay, so these things are, there is nothing else we can do. She will not get better. Withdrawing care. Circling the drain.
I can't even believe that's even stated or made it on the list.
If a clinician were to say that to me, I would punch them in the taint.
Yeah, that one might be like lawsuit or something.
Do you want us to do everything? Look, there's no bargaining power, of course. Dumbass.
No, we want you to give 10% of your skills toward this procedure.
We do this all the time as humans. Everything is a fight or a battle, waging a war or whatever. I mean, we're so...
And no patience, like that terminology.
Well, even the patients use this. I'm really fighting, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. I don't know why you waited so long to come in. Oh, you're victim blaming. Don't be...
Wow.
Yeah. What were your other doctors doing thinking? Yeah. Oh, let's not worry about that now. You are lucky it's only stage 2. I guess they're trying to find the silver lining, but okay. And it says you failed chemo. No. God.
First of all, if the chemo didn't work, you don't need to make it sound like the person did something wrong or
Right. Wow. So let's not worry about that now. It's not only a non-answer to a patient's legitimate concern, it's dismissive. The researcher said, pointing out that cancer is an early stage is presumptive, assuming the patient should feel gratitude without allowing room for the patient's anxiety and fear in having cancer. And Barry said patients do not fail chemo. Chemo fails patients. Yeah. Or don't even mention it. Don't say that they're...
Right, we're going to try this next or something.
Yeah. I don't know. What would the less than ideal outcome or something like that? I mean, it...
Oh, wow, that's pretty severe under those circumstances. But yeah, like the chemo wasn't as successful as we wanted. We're going to
try
this or whatever.
Yeah.
We're going to get you in a trial or something.
There you go. So as for the never words, the researchers recommend alternative language as well as the rationale for each. For example, instead of "she will not get better," which I swear to God, man, if I were to ever hear that,
don't say it, doctor. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if I ever end up in the hospital, I'm gonna have this article, and just like set this down. Like
these are my never words.
Here are my never words. As in, I should never hear any of this from you in the form of words. Otherwise, look at the fine print at the bottom of this, and I will have written in really small print, if you say any of this, I will punch you in the taint. Anyway, spreading awareness. Yeah, I mean, the rise of sociopathy is legit, at least in my observation. And so I think that some doctors tend to have very little patience with their patients, because they've seen everybody to the point where, I mean, I was told by one doctor that they basically see their patients as nothing more than bodies, because they can't care about them. Otherwise they make emotional.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they need to apply logic, but there is still a human element toward medicine, I think.
Yeah, you can lean into the human element. Even if you are going to be mechanical in your processes, you still got to treat the human that doesn't care about your mechanical processes. So it says mentorships are also invaluable, for more experienced doctors can share communication techniques that they found to be successful and which to avoid. Let me tell all you doctors out there, patients who interact with a doctor and then interact with another doctor, and each of those doctors have their specialty, and for whatever freaking reason, each one of those specialties are the cause du jour of your malady, really piss off patients. Okay. I ended up talking to two different doctors about something. And in one doctor, they were like, it's this. And in the other doctor, because they were a nutritionist, they focused on nutrition. No, not everybody is a nail, and you are not the hammer. Every time I see somebody, you go to a sports therapist and they want you to run. You go see a sports surgeon and they want to cut your leg open. I mean, it's just so crazy. Everything is that specialty. Anyway, let's move on. We have two more articles. This next one is over in Non Sequitur News. Amazon targets smart glasses that could guide delivery drivers to where to drop off packages, according to a report.
This isn't confusing at all, given that one of its main competitors is Target.
Right. And that actually, I think, but it's a clunky title. But hey, it's Business Insider. They always have really long titles. Amazon is reportedly developing smart glasses that its delivery workers could use. The glasses could provide navigation and take pictures of packages upon delivery. Reuters reported Amazon is said to face challenges such as battery life and location data as it creates the glasses. Why not just outfit the vehicles with smart equipment?
Yeah, couldn't they have like a dashboard or something?
And it's pretty easy for them to just use their phone and send the damn message.
Plus, then different drivers could be in the vehicle. It
Yeah.
wouldn't have to be tied to that particular driver.
Now they're going to have to take their glasses off and charge them while they're driving and put them back on, because it's only going to last. The best smart glasses that's interconnected and not just self-contained is probably those Zero glasses that do-it-yourselfer made, and it runs like 4 hours, but it's
Those
isolated.
aren't ready for driving.
Yeah, they're not ready for anything yet. Anyway, Amazon's next attempt to speed up package delivery may involve smart glasses. The article is over at, oh my gosh.
At Firewall.
I didn't log in. So I have an account, but I didn't log in. And I can't go past it.
Talk about it briefly.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. When you go there, you won't run across this. But I don't log in while I'm doing the show. Damn it. Hold on. Maybe it'll go away. Nope. It's like faster than ever. Anyway, smart glasses as they were. So let's just go on. The next article is over on the Marvel channel. 2 snail species named after Tolkien characters. Plus, it saves us some time because we're almost at an hour anyway.
There we go.
So researchers
it was planned.
Yeah, all along. Agatha. So researchers have named 2 newly discovered freshwater snail species from Brazil after characters from Lord of the Rings. The article is over at phys.org. Pensoft Publishers put the article together, described in an article published in the open access journal Zoosystematics and Evolution. Idiopyrgus Iowane and Idiopyrgus mariadochi were named in honor of Eowyn and Meriadoc Brandybuck from J.R.R. Tolkien's iconic series. In their research paper, the authors explain that the name Idiopyrgus Eowene, stating Eowyn exemplifies courage, resilience, and resistance against darkness, both internal and external, standing against Grima Wormtongue and the Witch King of Angmar. Yeah, you have to go and watch it. And read it, but watching it, yeah.
Right. I mean, I don't know if it's in the actual movies.
It is. So regarding Idiopyrgus, mariadochi, I guess is how it would probably be pronounced. They write, besides standing with Eowyn against the Witch King in the Battle of Pelennor Fields, Mary is also an example of the fight for nature conservation in Middle-earth, pushing the Ents into action and ultimately ending Saruman's threat to Fangorn Forest. I'm just stumbling all over my words. Anyway, pretty cool. These are the little beasties. Both snails have unique periostracal hairs, thorn-like structures on their shells, a feature uncommon among Brazilian freshwater snails. Their cave-specific adaptations include reduced pigmentation, fragile shells, and a small size. So pretty cool. Dun, dun, dun.
Interesting. Their color makes them look like they glow in the dark.
And they might actually fluoresce when you shine like UV light on them. But I guess, because it's iridescent here, like you can almost see all the way through them. Like I think that right there is like the background. That's the black that you see behind it.
Oh, I see. Right. Yeah, they're translucent, I guess.
Yep. Pretty cool. So go watch Lord of the Rings. And then
cheer when those characters come on.
There you go. And you can go, oh, I didn't know snails looked like a hobbit. Or an elf. All right. All right, let's keep going. We are done for today. Right? Dun 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 dun. Oh no, Eowyn is the Rohan noblewoman. She's
okay.
A battle maiden. I was like, wait a minute, she's not an elf. Anyway, that's it. We are done. So we are going to crawl back into our little nerd cave, and we'll be back at the front page of ohmTown.com. I lost a little bit of nerd cred there because I miscast them. Anyway, I'll owe up to it. I'm a dumbass. Well, that's it. I am Mayor Watt saying see you later. And along with the sentient AI, we're going to be back tomorrow. So why don't you say bye?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back tomorrow.
Did I put all of today's? I think I did. Okay. Well, we're done. We'll see you later. Bye. And that took a long time. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for November 12th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 317. This is a time machine episode. I wasn't available yesterday, so I couldn't do the show. Tonight, I am hoping to be available to do the show. Tonight being tomorrow, since this is a time machine episode. Anyway, I am Mayor Watt. Sentient AI. Sentient AI is not available at the moment, but we are going to talk about Nearly Knocked Out. Pretend cop meets real cop. Grappler used to end chase. Lint leads in chocolate. The Emperor of Penguins. Plane struck by gunfire. Global warming cooks rice. Ohio Stargate. Viral insurance fraud. And lubing up recall machinery. Everything is powered by ohmTown.com, so go over there and become a citizen. That's what you're looking at on the screen, other than me and the sentient AI's visualizer, but they're not here. I'm here. I'm really a bot. I'm AI too. We're all in a simulation. All right, everybody, let's get into it. As usual, time machine episodes have an hour of existence. We have to get in and get out. Otherwise, we're stuck in time. For how long, we don't really know, because the time machine would have to cool down, reset, and recall us. It takes a while, usually 24 hours minimum. Anyway, Mark Consuelos nearly knocks out unsuspecting woman live on air. Live with Kelly and Mark. Co-host Mark Consuelos narrowly avoided a golfing mishap on air. Apparently... And let's find out. So this article is over at Newsweek, and Maggie Eckberg put the article together. It says here, during the Tuesday, November 12th episode, Live with Kelly and Mark, the 53-year-old co-host was out on the green in Palm Springs showing off his swing when he spotted a woman standing right in his line of fire. The morning talk show is typically filmed in New York City. However, the series temporarily moved to California to tape 4 shows at the Westin Rancho Mirage Golf Course and Spa in Rancho Mirage. It's in the name. Anyway, I don't know if this is the actual video, so I'm going to play it, but I'm going to mute it. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. Consuelo's so-called alpha moves, as Ripa called his latest behavior, have become a bit of a theme on the show. In addition to his bold golf swing, Ripa recently recounted an instance of her husband's take charge attitude, this time on a crowded flight. Ah, God, this is what we're... Whatever. Anyway, yeah, apparently... Yeah, this article like switches immediately into something else. The audience got into the action too, chanting 4 as Consuelos tried to convince the woman to move, but once he finally took his shot, it looked like she was in the clear. Did you hit that lady? That was actually golfing. Ripa 54 asked her beau. Ugh. As he returned to his seat. Laughing, Consuelos admitted, I almost hit that lady. She almost owns the Westin. So, you know. Yeah, you're supposed to let people know. And if because they're in front of you, they don't have no idea. So you could wait. You could try to get their attention. But, you know, I guess being a dingbat is now the equivalent of alpha male. Anyway, let's move on. The next article is over on 4-Wheel Tech. Fake cop gets caught pretending to be a cop in front of a real cop. Impersonating cop is a big no-no. It's true. One man in Florida, so instantly Florida guy, found out this the hard way after he flashed the fake police lights in his unmarked Dodge Charger at an intersection in order to run a light. Wow, what a dingbat. So Lawrence Hodge over at jalopnik.com put the article together. Frank Michael DiGiulio Jr. was driving a black Dodge Charger when he approached the intersection of a light that had turned red, reports Car Scoops at carscoops.com. DiGiulio proceeded to do what I'm sure we've all seen cops do when they don't want to wait for a light to turn. He activated his lights as a way to say, hey, look out, I'm about to run this light, which he did. The problem is that DiGiulio wasn't a cop, but between his Charger and the light bar, he seems to be trying to fool others into thinking he is one. But regardless, your convenience shouldn't be the whole world's inconvenience, let alone safety on the streets, you twat. DiGiulio initially denied everything because of course he did. Unsurprising, Arsania radio dispatch to begin a traffic stop on the Charger. According to the report, the driver, Frank Michael DiGiulio Jr., initially denied having red and blue lights, of course, interjected to refute that. At that point, DiGiulio reportedly admitted his crime at that point, which is what we're pointing right at them. Look, right there. CarScoop says DiGiulio is now facing charges including prohibited use of lights and false impersonation. This in addition to a ticket for running the red light. The real kicker here is the Charger. It was towed by authorities and is allegedly owned by DiGiulio's girlfriend. His bond was set at $6,000, oddly despite the charge of false impersonation. Hernando County sheriffs say that they don't actually have evidence that DiGiulio was posing as a police officer in any other instances. All right. Wow, what a twat. Two of them in a row. A double article. Anyway, the next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech. Police use grappler to end 100-mile-per-hour chase with unnecessary crash. That's a bummer. Only millionaires typically have time and money to cosplay as Batman, but the police already have a heavy equipment and qualified immunity to indulge their superhero fantasies. A sheriff's office in Olympia, Washington, used a grappler to end a pursuit last week by crashing a stolen car at 100 miles per hour. Oh, wow. They actually did have a grappler. Interesting. So I don't know if it let it go, but there was an oncoming vehicle right there. Wow. Wow. What a kind of had me going. If you're watching the video, they shoot a grappler out from under the police car, hits the tire, forcing that car to go into oncoming traffic across double yellow. There is a car there, some 50 feet in front of that car that they grappled. So it's over at Jalopnik. Ryan Eric King put the article together. The grant request for the grappler promised to, quote, prevent and minimize deaths and injuries. I'm not sure why we don't just use trackers and slap a beacon on there. You know, just shoot that little goo gun and it'll just super glue right onto the vehicle. Oh, because you can't catch the person that did it, right? Okay. It was funny though, because a long time ago, I met somebody, an inventor who created a goo gun. And was printing up marketing material and stuff like that, and developing it further. And I don't know whatever happened to it. It probably went away because you could suffocate somebody by shooting a blob of goo at them. Anyway, Thurston County Police, or Sheriff's Office, proudly posted the pursuit footage on its Facebook page. The chase took place on a winding 2-lane road in Delphi Road Southwest, I guess. The cruiser reached the bumper of the allegedly stolen car and deployed the grappler. The fleeing driver lost control of the car, spun off the road, plowed through a fence, and hit a tree. He attempted to escape on foot, but was caught almost immediately. Interesting, right? And then they talk about how it's the highest death toll ever recorded by National Highway Safety. 577 people were killed in 2022 in police chases. But this one looks like it was not a controlled anything. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in the Mobile channel. Lindt admits its chocolate isn't quote unquote expertly crafted. Why? It's machine crafted. There isn't anything expert about it other than expert engineering. It's actually full of lead too. Lindt, the world famous chocolatier known for its variety of tasty sweets, has been forced to admit via a class action lawsuit that it may not be telling the truth with its marketing. No shit. Marketing hardly ever tells the truth. Quote from the author here. I know a major corporation lying in advertising is rather shocking to hear, but please brace yourself for this earth-shattering news. Yeah, the lawsuit against Lindt in Sprungli began in 2023 with a report by Consumer Reports, which found that 28 dark chocolate bars contained lead and cadmium, both heavy metals. 8 of the bars were found to have high levels of cadmium. One of those was a Lindt bar. So Louis Prada over at Vice.com put this article together. We've actually talked about this several times here in ohmTown and in Non Sequitur News specifically. Lawsuits against Lindt and Sprungli began in 2023. One of the bars that were tested by Consumer Reports was a Lindt bar. The other 10 were found to... Another 10 of those bars were found to contain lead. One of those was a Lindt bar. And so the lawsuits ensued as consumers felt it was a perfect opportunity to go after the company whose marketing claimed that the chocolate were expertly crafted with the finest ingredients, apparently, and were safe and were delightful. Well, apparently they say that it's expertly crafted are just puffery, aka exaggerations. Lindt's lawyers are arguing that the words excellence and expertly crafted are puffery. This is this old case that brought about the term puffery. Let me see, origin case. I'm trying to remember what it was. Yeah, it is the Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. So Carlyle versus the Carbolic Smoke Ball Company. It's an 1892 English Court of Appeal case where the company advertised that their smoke ball was a cure for influenza, but they referred to it as mere puff and not to be not to be taken seriously when sued by a customer who contracted the flu. Well, no. If you say that it's excellent and that it's expertly crafted, it's very subjective. But if you are representing yourself as being expertly crafted and excellent, that isn't puffery. It's bullshit and a lie. Expertly crafted means that there is somebody helming something that's making it expertly crafted. But if I can't get a copyright for AI created artwork, then why should you be able to say that a machine pumping out trillions of pieces of chocolate with zero hands on is expertly crafted? There's no expert other than the engineer. So I don't know. It says, yeah, they say, why the F did you say it? Say idiot. So, and they actually left out, I think, it. Anyway, no one in their right mind would take it seriously, is what the attorneys are saying. But the whole world is going to witness that there's going to be more and more of this bullshit. Footlongs that aren't footlongs, quarter pounders where they're that thick. But yeah, the burger is a quarter pound pre-cooked, but then when they cook it, it's all the fat is gone, and the burger that you get isn't this big. It looks like it's been run over by an M1 Abrams battle tank. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. And talking like this nowadays is going to end up causing all kinds of trouble, man. I guess we're going to find out in real time. So the next article is over in the Marble Channel, and Emperor Penguin trekked 2,200 miles to Australia. Everything is backwards. Up here in New Jersey, it feels more like California right now, between the 80-degree November days and ongoing wildfires. It really kind of fits that an Emperor Penguin found in Australia recently, 2,200 miles away from where you would expect it in the Antarctic Circle. The wandering bird was discovered on the southwest coast of the continent in the town of Denmark, and nobody has any idea why he made the journey. Since been taken into care after becoming malnourished on its unexpected voyage. So I suspect that it was on a boat or something. I don't know why it would end up way down there, way over there. So nobody has a clue why Gus made the journey. Kyle Filippi over at Vice.com put the article together. You'll be able to get all of this via the links via the show notes and via the podcast, but it's not in Twitch because I'm recording it and then transmitting it over to YouTube and the podcast, not Twitch. At any rate, yeah, maybe climate change. They know that eventually it's going to be frozen over there, and so they just got an early start. It's the first time an emperor penguin has been spotted in Australia, and Associated Press has reported that various next steps are being considered, including a possible return to Antarctica. Just feed it. It wants to hang out. Quote, I have a dedicated penguin enclosure, of course. I've never had to deal with a large penguin like this before, said Miss Biddulph, who has nicknamed the penguin Gus. It's the largest of the species. They are native to Antarctica, so are used to freezing cold temperatures that can range between 0 and negative 40 degrees. I guess they said here, quote, I can't help but think that Gus is just a bit of Frozen's Olaf in him, like the lovable snowman. Maybe Gus just wants to feel the sun on his body. Yep, and warm hugs. All right, let's keep going. Next article is over in Non Sequitur News. FAA bans U.S. flights to Haiti for 30 days after a plane struck by gunfire. Oh, it was 2 of them. I thought it was just a Spirit. Flights into and out of Port-au-Prince, Haiti, were suspended by Spirit and JetBlue after planes were struck by gunfire. Sam Sweeney, Josh Margolin, and Clara McMichael over at abcnews.go.com put the article together. And it says here that U.S. civil aviation operations in the territory and airspace of Haiti below 10,000 feet will be prohibited, according to the FAA. That's because somebody shot at Spirit Airlines flying from Fort Lauderdale, Florida to Haiti and was diverted after it was struck by gunfire while attempting to land in Port-au-Prince. And then apparently another plane Um, let's see. They made mention of it though. On Monday, a JetBlue flight from Haiti to New York City was also hit by a bullet. The airline said in a statement to NBC News. JetBlue said that it would suspend all flights to and from Haiti through December 2nd due to the civil unrest in the country. Wow. All right, let's keep going. Next article is over in Greenogram. Rice is not as nice with global warming. Harvest records from Japan and China suggest that high nighttime temperatures reduce the quality of rice, a staple food for billions of people. So that is a clue that rice prices are going to start going through the roof like wheat. Harvest records from Japan and China suggest that the nighttime temperatures, which is you might as well accept the fact that anthropogenic increases in heat are, well, I should say, increases in average ambient temperatures are caused by anthropogenic mechanisms, i.e., humans are increasing the temperature of the planet. And that's going to impact our food when it doesn't actually run. So it says hot nights brought by climate change are degrading the quality of rice crops in China and Japan. And I didn't log in prior to the show, so can't do it right now. Anyway, let's keep on moving. This next article says Ohio has its own Stargate, but you can't visit it. Did you know that Ohio has its own portal into a fictional world? You can't visit it, so don't get too excited. 15 years ago, an Ohio family built a 50,000-pound Stargate device that became social media famous over the years, attracting a ton of attention from nearby residents and tourists alike. The article is over at vice.com, put together by Sammy Caramella. 15 years ago, they built a 50,000-pound Stargate. It says, however, landowner Phil Ventura maintains that it's not open to the public. I don't need the aggravation. I'm very pleased that people have given recognition to it, but I really don't want the notoriety. Ventura's intention behind creating the Stargate was to spend more time with his sons. After watching the 1994 film, he felt especially called to do so. It's kind of like a Close Encounters of the Third Kind kind of thing. People felt compelled to go somewhere. This is kind of like that. They watched the film and they felt compelled to make this. So that's what kicked it off. My older son watched that one with me. And when the franchise took off, the TV series, being released shortly thereafter, the Ventura family would gather to watch all 10 seasons and every spin-off that came of it. They consumed the Stargate content until there was nothing left. And when the kids got older too, it was like, well, they've got girlfriends now and they're moving out. I understand that the different interests now, and they don't want to spend that much time with their old man. So, Stargate went viral after internet users shared photos of it online, and now one of the most admired yet inaccessible attractions in the area. And while you can't visit the Ohio attraction, you can still enjoy it from afar via photos and social media posts. Just don't go messing with them. To this day, he still enjoys his coffee by the fictional portal, which was made by steel rebar and molded out of a plastic swimming pool, then mounted in concrete. It also features a dial home device for entertainment purposes. This is a pretty cool article. Definitely go over to Vice and I very rarely read a lot of the article. I skim over it. But this is pretty cool. Now I want to see pictures of it. I don't think this is it. This is the set picture, but anyway, let's keep going. Got two more articles, including this one. Viral insurance fraud attempt lands one suspect in police custody. The now famous New York City public, or I should say the now famous viral insurance videos that are going around about somebody backing up and hitting somebody, and then everybody finding the car later, and then again later. Anyway, the famously patient New York City public has been clamoring for an update on the brazen attempted insurance fraud that went viral in October. Now the police have actually charged one of the participants, but the actual driver and two other suspects remain at large. This person's going to go down for all of them. So yeah, Ryan Eric King over at jalopnik.com put the article together, and they've got a video, a little snippet, replaying, looping GIF of the guy basically putting the car in reverse and then backing into somebody in the fast lane of the pike and the turnpike. And so it says crash victim Asfia Natasha caught the entire incident on her dash cam and posted the footage on TikTok. The crash happened relatively quickly and would be deemed intentional by anyone who has ever driven a car. A Honda Civic cut off Natasha and immediately slammed on the brakes. Natasha slowed to avoid the planned collision, so the Civic driver reversed into her car. There was also a second vehicle involved in the staged wreck, a Kia Sportage. The passenger was arrested in New York when he arrived back on the flight from Ecuador, WNBC reports. Instead of getting picked up by his girlfriend, or by his friend, in their Civic, he got a ride in a police cruiser. So, yeah, interesting. So scenarios like these that make dash cams such a wise investment, if not for your own safety in such crooked crash attempts, than to capture other absolutely bonkers events on the roads, like another car plunging 200 feet off a cliff. There's a video or a link to dash cam plunging off a cliff. Wow. All right. Well, good. I'm glad that they caught the person, and the others are either going to stay out of the country because they flew to Ecuador, or they're going to be caught in New York at some point. All right. Our final article for today is Costco recalled more than 80,000 pounds of butter because the labels failed to say that it contained milk. I think that this is stupid. I think that unless a food product says that it doesn't contain milk, you should assume that it contains milk if it is a product of milk, right? Butter is primarily a dairy product, for crying out loud. But no, Costco is recalling 79,200 pounds of butter for failing to note that it contained milk. The FDA classified the recall as a class 2, indicating potentially temporary health risks. The butter was produced by Continental Dairy Facility Southwest and distributed in Texas. They recalled 79,200 pounds, 1,300 cases of Kirkland Signature unsalted sweet cream butter, and 900 cases of Kirkland Signature salted sweet cream butter were recalled because they omitted the allergen warnings. That is insane. Nora Redmond put the article together for Business Insider. On Thursday, they classified it as a class 2. So all of the butter from facilities, Continental Dairy Facility Southwest in northern Texas produced all of the butter affected, and it came with a best buy date of February 22nd, 2025 to March 29th, 2025. Most of it was distributed across Texas, and it basically requires anything with milk, eggs, fish, crustaceans, shellfish, tree nuts, peanuts, wheat, and soybeans to have Food Allergen Labeling and Consumer Protection Act labels. These foods account for about 90% of food allergies in the U.S., according to the Act. So it has to have the word contains this. All right. May or may not contain milk, eggs, fish, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think that it should be the other way around. If it lacks, milk, eggs, fish, and whatever it is, you as an adult or a person educated in your allergies, I don't know, maybe I'm being a complete goober about it, but if you're looking at a dairy product, it's going to have milk in it, right? If you're looking at something that says that it is a milk alternative and it says that it has wheat or soy in it, or it doesn't, then one way or the other, you should know it. What is it? Well, it's a nut milk or whatever you want to call it, right? It's going to have nuts in it. If it's made from soy, it's going to say that it's from soy, but it's going to have soy. If it says that it's soy milk, you don't have to look at a label and go, oh, it has soy in it. I don't know. It just seems like it's really freaking obvious to people with allergies that something has an allergen in it. But lately I've been seeing some really off the wall things, like people going into sit down restaurants and saying that their food can't have all of this stuff. And I'm like, if you are that sensitive, you should probably be just making it at home, because there's no way that cross contamination isn't going to take place to some degree. And frankly, you might have signed up for iTunes or something, and that invalidates all of the other legal opportunities that might be set forth from some violation of your food. Like the woman who passed away and her husband was required to go into arbitration instead of a lawsuit because the daughter, I think, had signed up for some Apple product. Pretty wild. Anyway, they backtracked that, but I'm still astonished that something that is so obviously made from milk had to be labeled as having milk. But okay. What a world. Okay. Oh, and by the way, there are people that are more sensitive or less sensitive, but everybody, unless you're a kid, an infant, you are lactose intolerant to some degree. Just some people are worse off. Everybody should stop drinking milk, frankly. Anyway, so we are going to recall, and that's going to pull us all the way back to ohmTown.com front page, and I'm going to call it a day. We are out of here. Made it under 30 minutes because I didn't ramble and I didn't go into any snarky jokes and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, be sure to like and subscribe and follow us on Twitch and over on YouTube. We have a Discord. We've got a Patreon, but I haven't been putting stuff there. But I would love to hear from you. So leave a comment to let me know what you like, what you don't like. Be sure to like, though, and download the podcasts. There's 6 weekly podcasts, and Non Sequitur News is a daily. So we'll see you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to Non Sequitur News for November 13th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 318. I am Mayor Watt. The sentient AI is not available for today's show, and we are in a time machine. I wasn't available yesterday to do the show, so tomorrow is when I did the show, so today is when you're getting it the day after yesterday. Yeah, I think that's right. I'm not sure. It's all this time stuff. So once again, I am Mayor Watt. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. And today, our 10 articles are going to be about this. Training does not infringe copyright. There's fake whale poop. Kayaker dying to get away from family. Warcraft remastered. Medtronic patent infringement. This dealership is on fire. If you love it, set it freebie. NASA moon rocket seems canceled, marble bust doorstop worth millions, and a turntable hangout. We've seen that one before. Maybe a couple of other things we've talked about, I think, in some way before. So some of this is an update. I don't know. We've done 1,500 plus articles. All of them are available over on YouTube and the podcast. You can also follow us here on Twitch and here on YouTube. Please like and subscribe, tell a friend, let the world know that we are out here. That would be great. Anyway, everything is powered by ohmTown.com. Go over, become a citizen. All right, everybody. Let's get into this. The very first article is over in Non Sequitur News. It was aggregated from TechDirt, but Gatherer threw it into Non Sequitur News. A judge says, just because AI trains on your publication does not mean that it infringes on your copyright. So the article says, I get that a lot of people don't like that big AI companies and how they scrape the web, but these copyright lawsuits being filed against them are absolute garbage. And if you want that to be the case, because it goes the other way, it will do real damage to the open web by further entrenching the largest companies. If you don't like the AI companies, find another path, because copyright is not the answer. The article is over at techdirt.com in the department that's called That's Not How Any of This Works department. Mike Masnick from techdirt.com put the article together. And it says, so far we've seen that these cases aren't doing well, all that well, though many cases are still ongoing. Last week, a judge tossed out one of the early ones against OpenAI brought by Raw Story and Alternate. Part of the problem is that these lawsuits assume incorrectly that these AI services really are, as some falsely call them, plagiarism machines. The assumption is that they're just copying everything and then handing out snippets of it, but that's not how any of it works. They're actually recontextualizing it, modifying it, regurgitating a modified version of the world's knowledge that would normally have to be interpreted by somebody, and sometimes incorrectly. And so just like a human, AI is hallucinating whatever data might be in their large language model, spinning it up with a bunch of math and then calling it their own. And that's largely what humans do. Humans aren't plagiarizing the material, by the way, either, unless they say what you are saying and not giving credit. So that's one of the problems here, is that that's not how any of this works. Some of the case focused on whether or not OpenAI removed copyright management information, or CMI, from the works that are being trained on. This always felt like an extreme long shot, and court finds Raw Story's arguments wholly unconvincing, in part because they don't know how any of that works over at OpenAI. For one thing, here's a quote. For one thing, plaintiffs are wrong that Section 1202 grants the copyright owner of the sole prerogative to decide how future iterations of the work may differ from the versions the owner published. Other provisions of the Copyright Act afford such protection, see 17 U.S.C. 106, but not Section 1202. Section 1202 protects copyright owners from specified interferences with the integrity of the work's CMI. In other words, defendants may, absent permission, reproduce or even create derivatives of plaintiffs' works without incurring liability under Section 1202, as long as defendants keep plaintiff's CMI intact. This is all automated, by the way. If I read an article and I talk about that article, there is nothing that is stopping me from talking about the article. I mean, it's basically public discourse. And if I incorporate my discussions into commercial enterprise, there's nothing that's stopping me either, other than a slap suit, other than litigation to literally drown me in court fees to prevent me from basically living a life. That's actually what seems to have happened from time to time in everything having to do with intellectual property. I think that it's absolutely unethical, improper. Rather, it was to ensure the integrity of the electronic marketplace by preventing fraud and misinformation, and to bring the United States into compliance with obligations to do so under the World Intellectual Property Organization, or WIPO, Copyright Treaty 12.1, Obligations Concerning Rights Management Information, and WIPO Performances and Phonograms Treaty. And we have a lot of treaties between the United States and Europe, and a lot of countries within it are all bound by various treaties and agreements that get incorporated into WIPO and into basically the European Union's processes of litigation and protection, data protection, consumer protection, et cetera, et cetera. So It says, then there's the bigger part, which is that the judge, Colleen McMahon, has a better understanding of how ChatGPT works than the plaintiffs, and notes that just because ChatGPT was trained on pretty much the entire internet, that doesn't mean that it's going to infringe on Raw Story's copyright, because the copyright is the embodiment. It isn't the data. Data cannot be copyrighted, by the way. Data is information. Information can't be protected. It's like an idea. Information is, it is just that. It's actually separated. It is a data can't be protected except in the embodiment. Just like a recipe can't be protected except in the embodiment. That's why people publish cookbooks, because the embodiment of that cookbook, how it's laid out, the values and all of that in its embodiment. Like I can't take a copy. I can't take one of my cookbooks, photocopy it, scan it in, republish it. Why? Because that embodiment is protected. I could rewrite the recipe my own, give it a new description. I can't write it verbatim. I can basically duplicate the thing. Will people call me out? Probably. Will I care if I'm making money? Probably not. I will, because I'm an ethical person and I don't see it as being beneficial to take somebody else's work wholesale and claim it as my own. It just doesn't, I don't see the world spinning that way, but there are a lot of people that do. And believe me, it's quite amazing because what I do for a living, I see quite, because I don't stream for a living. I run ohmTown and have other work, but mayoral duties is what I refer to them as. But so yeah, in a nutshell, most things shouldn't be protected by copyright because their derivative works can be created, value added works can be provided, and other than, I think, even in songs, the whole embodiment can be protected. Otherwise, I think little snippets, fine. Why? Because it's share and share alike. People should be able, nobody in a vacuum is creating music or art or anything. Nobody is creating it in a vacuum. That's just not how the world works. Anyway, finally, so plaintiffs allege that ChatGPT is trained on a scrape of most of the internet, which complaint 29, which includes massive amounts of information from innumerable sources on almost any given subject. Plaintiffs have nowhere alleged that the information in their articles is copyrighted, nor could they do so. When a user inputs a question into ChatGPT, ChatGPT synthesizes relevant information in its repository into an answer. Given the quantity of information contained in the repository, the likelihood that ChatGPT would output plagiarized content from one of plaintiff's articles seems remote. Yes, by the way, there are times where there is an output of something like a book, but it isn't the totality of the book. It might be a short segment of said book, but that doesn't mean that what is output is a copyright violation. And I think it's finding out more and more that that's exactly what's going on. Just because it's aggregated some book, it can synthesize just like a human can. I get paid to synthesize content into something that is digestible for a client, customer, person on the street. You know, I've been tapped on the shoulder and asked my opinion about something because somebody knew who I was and said, hey, can you give me your, 2 bits? Yeah, sure. It says they are also in licensing talks with other copyright owners in the news industry, but have offered no compensation to plaintiffs, right? So there's talk in here. OpenAI defendants have acknowledged that they use copyright protected works to train ChatGPT requires a license to that content, and in some instances have entered licensing agreements. Basically, because it's frictionless, they could still do it, but copyright is being used as just this battering ram to crush anybody who might actually want to talk about or provide information related to pure information. And to me, it's just troubling turning, information is power. That has always been the case for as long as I can remember. And controlling it is, I think, doing society a disservice. But that's okay. We will continue on and we'll talk about this kind of stuff. While the judge dismisses the case with prejudice and says that they can try again, it would appear that she's skeptical that they could do so with any reasonable chance of success. Quote, in the event of dismissal, plaintiffs seek leave to file an amended complaint. I cannot ascertain whether amendment would be futile without seeing a proposed amended pleading. I'm skeptical about plaintiff's ability to allege a cognizable injury, so something that is actually realized. But at least as to injunctive relief, they're prepared to consider an amended pleading. So if they can prove that the information is plagiarized, not just a distillation of the world's knowledge as it pertains to a very or a given topic, evaluated by the large language model and then output to a person, no, there's no harm. There isn't anything provable that somebody has harmed someone. All right, well, let's keep on going. I spent a considerable amount of time on this, but it's one of the bigger things that we talk about here in ohmTown and non sequitur news specifically. Let's keep going. So the next article is over on the Mobile channel. Scientists are dumping fake whale poop into the ocean. Excessive whale hunting in the 20th century destroyed global whale populations, thus disrupting worldwide marine ecosystems. Less whales in the oceans means less whale poop in the oceans. That sounds like a great thing if you're swimming near one. But it's actually detrimental to the health of our oceans. Turns out that whale poop plays a vital role in ocean ecosystems. It provides our oceans with a ton of nutrients needed to maintain health. Think of it as a nutrient-rich fertilizer, which makes your lawn look healthy and verdant green. So Louis Prada over at Vice.com put this article together. And it says, so researchers at an organization called WhaleX Foundation developed a synthetic whale poop that mimics the myriad of positive ecological effects whale poop provides. This fake whale poop, or fail poop, is what I'm pronouncing it as, PHALE. But anyway, that's not really what it's called. It's fake poop, designed specifically to boost ocean productivity by releasing nutrients into waters in short supply and stimulating phytoplankton blooms that absorb carbon dioxide and support marine life. This is a weird game that we're playing, trying to boost the ocean while simultaneously poisoning the air to the point where this either can become a problem one way or the other, because there will eventually be blooms that surpass what we stimulate into blooming. Why? Because there's this the anthropomorphic impact of climate change. We are causing, as humans, climate change, and it's going to impact our oceans. So it says here, a chemist from University of Cambridge in England named David King has been working on the Marine Biomass Regeneration Project, which plans to scatter nutrient-rich dust made from volcanic and glacial sources all across the surface of the world's oceans. What could go wrong? Let's keep going. The next article is kayaker faked his death to ditch his family for life in Europe, according to the police. I love this article. I get it. We all want to escape sometimes. But faking your own death to abandon your family for another country, that's perhaps going a bit too far. A Wisconsin man allegedly did just that, according to police. Ryan Borgwart of Watertown faked his own drowning over the summer so he could flee to Europe. Since his disappearance in August, authorities and family members of Borgwart assumed he had gone missing while kayaking on Green Lake. Ultimately, they ruled that he had likely drowned. Borgward even texted his wife at 10:49 p.m. on August 11th, stating that he was, I guess, headed kayaking. Sammy Caramella over at Vice.com put this article together. Yeah, seemingly staged his own death by abandoning his vehicle, his overturned kayak, and a fishing rod. He was headed back to shore. So police searched for his body for over 50 days. They never found it. Now it's pretty clear why that was the case. Borgwart's passport, just one day after he went missing, apparently. Earlier that spring, the Wisconsin man reported his original passport as lost or stolen before obtaining a new one. From there, police began further investigating the incident, eventually learning that Borgwart planned to flee to Europe and attempted to mislead authorities. In fact, he even took out a $375,000 life insurance policy in January. He's likely in Eastern Europe, so they don't actually know. He was reportedly communicating with a woman from Uzbekistan before his disappearance. Okay, so this isn't going to end well. Yeah, they're never going to find this guy. Let's keep moving. The next article is over in Technology Today. Warcraft 1 and 2 Remastered are available right now for some retro RTS goodness. It's over in Steam. In fact, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Because it's Warcraft Remastered. I think it's in Steam. I thought it was. Maybe it's only in